And right now, I think there's going to be a little bit of nerves here, Brian. There can't not be. He's in his first Grand Slam final. And the look from the Fritz box is they're locked in. They're ready to go. And he gives himself a fighting chance in a Grand Slam final to win the first men's championship for U.S. in men's tennis in 21 years.
Couple of interesting points that you made. Number one was in the warm-up, Taylor Fritz working on the transition game. He never does the transition game when he actually plays the match, so it's sort of ironic to me. And he's playing a guy that doesn't hit the ball short almost ever. So the chances to utilize that transition game, I think, will be scarce today, most likely, but we'll see about that. The other point that Nick made that I think is very relevant is he played his good friend, Frances Tiafoe, in the semifinals. Yeah, you don't want to lose the semifinal of the U.S. Open. You especially don't want to lose to someone that you see all the time, that you talk to, that you're hanging around with. You always want to be the one who wins that match. So yes, that match had more pressure perhaps than even a final does, and that should help Taylor Fritz, that he's coming into this match with less of that I'm supposed to win, I've beaten Frances Tiafoe the last 6 times. All of those things that were running through his head to get to a final, and now he's the underdog, and hopefully for him, he can play loose, relaxed, and show his best tennis.
And hey, Brian, sorry, I just want to point out one more thing. No sign of that wrist injury from Jannik Sinner from that fall late in his match against Jack Draper.
Thanks, Nick, and that was absolutely something we were keeping an eye on, and I think we'll keep an eye. He finished the match okay, but you were wondering how it would turn up yesterday, and we'll see how it turns up when Taylor Fritz starts, peppering some ground strokes into that backhand. And it will be Taylor Fritz and Jannik Sinner for the U.S. Open title. Fritz has beaten 2 top 10 players to get to this final. It was the 4th round win over Casper Ruud, quarterfinal epic over Sasha Zverev, Tiafoe in the semifinal, and now the world #1, Jannik Sinner, for the U.S. Open title. And Taylor Fritz, 26 years old, from Rancho Santa Fe, California, serving first and thumping that serve off the tape and wide. Fritz has been the best server in this U.S. Open. Leads the tournament in aces with 75. Fastest serve speed, best serve percentages as well. But on the other hand, Sinner's got some of the best return numbers of all the men in the U.S. Open. And there he opens this match with a forehand winner up the open right sideline, love 15.
Yeah, not a great sign for Fritz, because one of the things that's been happening for Sinner is he's been a bit nervous to start matches and been mishitting a few of his forehands especially.
Yeah, in this U.S. Open, Sinner's been broken 11 times. 8 of those were in the first set. He's been broken 3 times outside the first set. Forehand soft from Fritz, backhand cross Sinner, backhand middle from Fritz, now a forehand from Sinner. And that Fritz miss a little bit long with the forehand, and he looks across the court towards his team, just showing some slight frustration. It's love 30.
Yeah, this is, again, you'd expect maybe a little bit of a nervous start for Fritz. He's looked as though he wasn't nervous, but he's played the first 2 points perhaps.
Best serve he's hit so far out wide. There's the +1, but Sinner tracked it down, tried to pass with the backhand, but left it short into net. Fritz is on the board. It's 15-30.
There's the transition game. He actually took a short ball of forehand, hit it down the line. He didn't hit it that well and came in behind it.
I don't know, Jimmy. We might have to watch for that today.
Yeah, we might. That was the strategy, obviously.
Serve down the center, a block, forehand return from Sinner. Now a forehand cross Sinner, backhand cross from Fritz. They trade cross-court backhands. Fritz goes deeper. Now backhand middle Sinner. Fritz takes with a forehand in the center of the court. They trade some big ground strokes here. Both of these players strike a very clean ball. Inside out forehand for Sinner. Now backhand cross Sinner. Backhand cross from Fritz. That just missed. And here is the first break chance of this match. It's a chance for Jannik Sinner after a 16-shot rally.
This is going to end up killing you, because I expect a lot of rallies of what we just saw. A lot of those hard hitting, the ball's going back and forth very quickly, deep, solid ground strokes.
I'm ready for it. Tournament tested now. We're all the way through.
You properly hydrated there, Brian?
I'm working on it as well. Incredible number, though. And you don't think of Fritz as somebody who plays that many long points just because of the amount of power he can hit with his serve. Each player has played an identical number of 9-shot rallies in this tournament. Second serve on break point for Fritz. He hits a forehand into the Sinner forehand. Sinner's happy to meet it with a cross-court forehand. They trade these forehands cross. Forehand middle from Sinner. Now Fritz goes big inside out, hit the tape, but went. Slice backhand Sinner. Fritz waits, goes big again, keeping Sinner into that backhand corner. Another backhand deep from Fritz. He's dictating, he's inside, and he saved the break point. Inside the service line with a forehand winner. Another long rally, 15 shots there. It's 30-40.
Fritz is a transition monster today so far. Nick McCarville was all over it. He comes in, but because he doesn't like to volley, and he should have hit a volley on the ball that was floating, he backed up, let it bounce, hit another ground stroke.
It's also the first time this crowd has really shown its force for Taylor Fritz today. That point, still a break point here, Brian.
Fritz saved the first, and now a second. He gets a good serve out wide. That's the tennis he wants to play, but Sinner did well to block it back. Now Fritz has to hit an overhead, and he missed it from a step inside the baseline. He's got a pained smile on his face as Jannik Sinner strikes first in this U.S. Open final with a break.
It was a heck of a serve, but you know what? It was an even better return in some ways from Sinner. I don't know how he reached out and got his racket on it. It was not the best lob. He was doing anything he could to get the return back in play, but you just got that sense that Fritz thought he'd hit a serve that was good enough to win him the point, and that he might not even have to hit another ball. And maybe the pressure of that and being break point is what caused that missed overhead for Fritz in a quick break start for the #1 player in the world.
Fritz coming into this final had won 98 of 107 service games. But now he will play from behind as Jannik Sinner heads to the line after the change of ends. Brian Clark here with Jimmy Arias. We've got Nick McCarville courtside in Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Sarcastic smile from Fritz after he missed that overhead too.
And now here is Sinner. Serve out wide into a forehand return from Fritz. Sinner had pulled him off the court. Sinner tracks it down with a backhand. Now forehand cross from Sinner. Backhand cross at a tighter angle. Fritz, who goes backhand into the Sinner forehand, pulling Fritz right with a deep forehand. Now backhand cross court from Sinner. This is the pattern Sinner wants. He hits a forehand, sending Fritz on the run, stretching him out. Fritz missed long. It's 15-love.
15 love.
That's not the kind of point Taylor Fritz is going to want to play over and over again. He was being dictated to. And Taylor Fritz is someone that normally, with the pace and depth that he hits, he's not getting pushed around that often. If he does get pushed around, that would be the weakest part of his game. He doesn't move horribly, but it's not quite at the very top levels of the game.
Here's Jannik Sinner off the far baseline. He was going out wide and into net. 3 of the last 4 points have gone more than 10 shots. The only one that didn't was Fritz missing that overhead to get broken in the opening game. Second serve, Fritz comes in with a backhand middle, forehand from Sinner. Fritz to his right with a forehand cross court. Fritz now tried to hit an outright winner. He tried to take that backhand at an extreme angle and yanked it into the alley. It's 30-love.
Here's the bad sign, if you're a Taylor Fritz fan, is Jannik Sinner throughout the tournament has been making unforced errors. So far for the match, he has made 0 unforced errors. Playing very cleanly, and it's not as though he hasn't had the opportunity to make errors because they've had some long rallies.
Already 4 unforced errors for Fritz. Great serve down the center from Sinner. Fritz blocks it with a one-hand backhand. Now a forehand cross from Sinner. Cross-court forehand from Fritz, who was sent in every direction on that shot. Sinner in total control. 40-love.
40-love.
That's a ball, guys, that they worked a lot on in the Sinner practice this morning, that forehand up the line. It's the same shot he won the first point of the match on, trying to move Fritz around and then go up that backhand line.
Ideal start here for Jannik Sinner to this U.S. Open final. A chance to consolidate the opening break. And he goes out into the backhand of Fritz, hit the tape, but it goes. Now Fritz on the run again from left to right. He's long with the forehand. A dream start for the world #1 and a bit of a nightmare through 2 games for Taylor Fritz.
Really, the nightmare was the first couple of points where he played Taylor Fritz, made a couple of errors, didn't make any first serves, got behind in his serve, and already down a break, and Sinner looking very sharp early on. That's maybe the best I've seen him in the tournament to this point.
As we said, he's a little patchy over the last 2 rounds, and now this crowd sensing that Fritz needs a bit of a lift, and they give him one. Serve out wide, and they'll roar after that. An ace for Fritz. Nick McCarville, they roaring for Taylor Fritz or the other Taylor who's in the stands?
Yeah, have we spotted?
We have.
Miss Swift.
And Mr. Kelsey. 15 love for Fritz. He missed it long.
That was the rumor. Okay, now the challenge is for you, Brian. No Swift in commentary.
I will try my best. I don't think you have to actually worry about it with me. I'm not great respect for Miss Swift and her many fans, but it's not number 1 on my list, so I think we'll be okay here. 30 love for Taylor Fritz, who will be the Taylor we focus on this afternoon. He's been the focus of American tennis since before he was a teenager. Missed that first serve. He's trying to get on the board in this final. Second serve at 30 love goes deep into the box. Now a short backhand, middle backhand. Sinner drilled that one. Cross-court backhand from Fritz. Sinner is pelting his backhand. Now a sliding forehand Sinner. Forehand middle Fritz, and there's the Sinner error. He popped it wide into the alley. It's 40 love.
And that's the side that Sinner has been misfiring from the most often, is his forehand. That's where he's mishit. Patrick Mahomes is here as well.
He's also with the the Kelsey Swift contingent. So the Kansas City Chiefs well represented. They are champions, so is Jannik Sinner. Taylor Fritz is on the board in this US Open final. But it is Sinner in front 2-1 when we come back on US Open Radio, presented by American Express. Jannik Sinner in front of Taylor Fritz through 3 games. He's up an early break, 2-1. Brian Clark back here with Jimmy Arias. We've got Nick McCarville courtside as time's called. Jimmy much better from Fritz in that service game and just looked a lot more comfortable in playing the points that he wants to dictate.
Yes, that's what I expected in this match, the way that game went, where he was crushing ground strokes. So was Sinner crushing ground strokes, and it's who can create a little space first. It's not easy to open the court when the ball's traveling as quickly as it is when these two play.
Sinner didn't lose a point on serve in his first service game, and he hits that first serve into the net. We talked about avoiding the unforced errors, and now Sinner's been able to do that. Fritz has not, but Fritz came into this match with the best differential of winners to unforced errors of anybody in the tournament. Fritz was plus 45, and now Sinner sprinkles in another one. He floats that forehand wide. It's love 15. Sinner coming into this match was plus 35.
Guys, after that opening break, the vibe from Taylor Fritz's team, especially Michael Russell, was calm down. You're all good. It's one break of serve, and we're just starting this long match that I think Michael's really trying to just get him to see the situation for what it is.
Yeah, that's a partnership I want to talk about, certainly with Jimmy, just that Russell-Fritz partnership with Paul Annacone, of course, involved, and the benefits that have come from that as Fritz misses the return long. And what's fascinating to me, Jimmy, is, you know, you've got Fritz, this supernaturally talented player. He won the juniors here, and the guy who was kind of the ultimate grinder in Mike Russell, who was never inside the top 50 in the world, and how he's been able to complement Taylor so well.
Well, I think he gave him some of that grinder mentality, because you do see that Taylor Fritz, he is willing, first of all, to play every week. He plays as many matches or more than almost anybody, and loves to compete and loves to be in a long, tough fight.
He wants a long, tough fight here, and he loves that backhand return. That was not a good second serve from Sinner, and Fritz muscled it into an inside-out backhand winner.
You get a sense of why I thought Taylor Fritz does have a chance, because he serves big and he returns really well. You don't think of him necessarily as a returner, but he makes returns and he can be aggressive with those returns. You just saw it there.
15-30 on the Sinner serve. Sinner's wearing a shirt we've called Sage during this U.S. Open, a black hat and darker green shorts. Backhand return from Fritz, cross court on the ad side, backhand cross Sinner. They trade cross court backhands in the ad court, and then Sinner misses long, and here is the first chance of this final for Taylor Fritz.
And this is what we've been seeing in the tournament from Sinner. Just moments when he misses rally balls that you're not expecting. That was a backhand-to-backhand drill, and all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, Sinner just sent one long.
Long by a fraction of an inch, as we saw the close-up, and now Fritz has 2 break points on the Sinner serve here. A chance for 2-all in the opener. He goes up the center. Fritz leans left. Here comes Sinner. He waits for the bounce. Hits the overhead cross-court to save the first break point.
Yeah, a little bit easier overhead than the overhead that Taylor Fritz missed on break point. This one was well inside the service line and nearly took out the front row in the stands as the spectators got saved by about a half an inch.
The girl who was closest to the line of fire, she did manage to get that ball. She gets to keep it, so all's well that ends well for her. Sinner saved the first break point. Can he save a second? 23-year-old's toss, and that serve, it's up the center. Now a forehand, a short return from Fritz. He's got the open line, though, and sends a backhand middle. Forehand from Sinner. Forehand cross from Fritz on break point. Sinner forehand middle, and Fritz just missed on the backhand. Frustrated as now Sinner saved 2 break points for deuce.
Saved that one with just pure pace on the forehand, as good first serve, and Sinner didn't do enough, perhaps, with the return. He got a ball that was well inside the service line. But in the end, that forehand went right down the center, but the pace of it caused some problems for Fritz.
Fritz wearing a black top with a white headband. He's got the white shorts, black socks, white sneakers. At deuce, serve up the center, leaning and blocking it with the backhand. It's Fritz now. Big forehand from Sinner. That's his bread and butter, that powerful forehand. Advantage Sinner.
From 15-40 down, Sinner 3 straight big first serves. He's had to hit shots each time, but he's had such an edge in the point behind the serve. Twice it's a serve +1.
That serve 130. And now a chance for Sinner to keep his lead in this opening set and go in front 3-1 on Fritz. Toss, and he goes big again, but that time missed out wide. Missed by a lot at 125. Second serve here. Fritz comes forward, and Sinner missed. Double faulted.
Well, and Sinner does tend to check where his opponent's going to return second serves from. And if you back way up, he just throws in a cheesy roller second serve that he knows he's not going to double fault. Fritz isn't letting him do that. Fritz is standing right up on the baseline, challenging that second serve. He's already hit a winner return on one of them. So that was an assist to the double fault by Fritz because of the pressure he applied by his stance.
All of that puts a little more pressure on the first serve of Sinner to get that in. He's hit some big first serves, but not there into net. And now can Fritz find some joy on a second serve again? He's won 3 of the 5 points played on Sinner's second serve. This second serve down the center, backhand return deep from Fritz. Fritz staying on the backhand wing, goes cross court. Now he opens up into a forehand. Middle of the court, backhand cross from Sinner. Tighter angle backhand from Fritz. No response from Sinner, and Fritz is having some real success against these second serves. It's a 3rd break point.
It's interesting because one of the things when I watch these two play is because they hit it with such depth and power, often they don't open the court. They try to go through you. And the difference in that rally was Fritz's backhand opened the court. Beautiful, beautiful angle that he came up with.
3rd break point here. This is the longest game of the match, more than 6 minutes long in this final. Jannik Sinner up 2-1 on Taylor Fritz. Goes out wide again. Fritz slid, blocked with the backhand, and Sinner missed a sitter. He tried to take a high ball out of the air from the service line and dumped it into the net. Taylor Fritz has broken him back, and we are even through 4 games here in the men's final. Nick McCarville's courtside, and Nick, was there a gasp when he missed that sitter?
Yeah, the gasp and then the roar from this crowd, I think really feeling like they're involved for the first time, and the whole Fritz box standing up there, and a huge come on from Taylor. Now they feel like this is where his match starts.
And Taylor's been serving much better since that first game, and that continues. He goes big at 130, 15 love.
That's his biggest serve of the match so far. Both players at 130 as their fastest serve. Surprisingly, Sinner's average first serve speed is faster than Fritz's to this point.
Serve comes out wide. Now a forehand from Fritz, who's dictating from the center of the baseline. Oh, he missed that forehand long. He tried to bury Sinner into his forehand wing and just sent it long. 124 on that serve. Now the toss from Fritz. He goes out wide. A forehand from Sinner off the court. Fritz squatted low, tried to play a short backhand, but put it into the net, and it's 15-30.
Interesting that both of these players, Fritz especially to me, feels as though when it's even, when he's already thinking about maybe I'm going to win, all those thoughts seem to be seeping in. He was playing great from behind. As soon as he got up 15-love, all of a sudden it's looked a little less sharp.
Second serve into the backhand return from Sinner. Fritz flattens that out with a whip of a forehand. Now a backhand middle from Fritz. It sits up for Sinner to crush his own forehand. Now they hit big forehands from the center of the baseline. Fritz spins around to the backhand. Sinner does the same with the backhand middle. Fritz inside in forehand. Oh, he turned it up for a winner in 30-all.
That's the one thing about Fritz, especially this tournament. You can't just leave in a ball in the center of the court with not a whole lot on it and expect to not get punished. And that backhand cross court was around the service line, sat up a bit, and Fritz unloaded on a forehand winner.
Fritz now has 4 winners in the match to 6 unforced errors, but that number has been getting higher. He was at 1 winner to 4 unforced errors after the first 2 games. He has a second serve here, 30-all, 2-all. Deep second serve into a short backhand, center backhand. Oh, just long from Fritz, and now he's down a break point.
One thing that I hate is watching tennis players, juniors especially, when they miss, they start shadowing their stroke as if it's their hand. 90% of the time it's your feet were in position, and Taylor Fritz was shadowing the swing.
Oh, Fritz just missed down the center. We've seen him shadow that a few times.
He has. He keeps thinking about his swing. I don't want you thinking about your technique.
Second serve into the cross-court backhand return from Sinner, who hits a middle forehand. Now a backhand cross from Fritz. Fritz has the open line, but goes cross-court with a backhand. Now backhand middle Fritz. Sinner steps in with a forehand. Fritz lifts a forehand. Backhand angle from Sinner. Backhand cross Fritz. Forehand off from Sinner. Fritz floats a backhand. Caught the sideline into a forehand. Then Fritz hits a forehand moon ball that Sinner takes with a forehand middle. They recover to a neutral point. Now it's Fritz to his right with a cross-court forehand. Short ball forehand. Fritz put some heat on that. Then Sinner missed wide, not by much. Point had a bit of everything, but Fritz pumping himself up as he saves that break point.
Yeah, that was a very fortunate save within the 23 shots that we saw in that rally. There was a slice backhand when Fritz was in trouble. That's not what he likes to be doing. He's not an intangibles guy, a defensive guy, but he found the line with that slice backhand. And then the next ball he shanked, that you described as a moon ball. That was a full-on shank, but it worked out nicely for him.
He'll take it, and he will absolutely take it if he can hold serve here. He's got Sinner way behind the baseline as Fritz drills a serve down the center, blocked into net by Sinner. Advantage Fritz, and another chance to escape here.
When someone backs way up, normally you serve wide, and I think Sinner was saying, I'm backing way up, don't you see me? Serve wide, and instead Fritz served right down the tee with a bomb and won the point with it.
Advantage Fritz. He goes right down the center. Almost 11 minutes to play these last 2 games where Fritz broke Sinner. And now Fritz is trying to keep this on serve and move ahead on the scoreboard. Nice backhand around the post, and then Sinner from a deep defensive position missed just long. Fritz holds. Crowd on its feet for the first time today, roaring for these two. Big time hitting, big time shot making, and a lot more comfortable looking tennis from Taylor Fritz, who moves ahead on the scoreboard for the first time today. Nick McCarville, what's jumped out to you courtside over the last few minutes?
Yeah, that crowd really getting involved there, guys. In that last game, it feels like Taylor settled in. One thing that Taylor, they're showing Anna Wintour now up on the big screen. One thing Taylor and Mike were working on, Jimmy, is they were talking a lot about the actual stroke. So you said you hate when juniors sort of do the shadow swing. They were talking about that in practice. Does Taylor sometimes come late around it, or is it always the feet? Because that was a discussion point with them of Mike saying to Taylor, sometimes you don't get over the ball as quick as you need to.
So that's why he's shadow swinging then, because they're talking about an actual swing technique. But I'm not saying for Taylor necessarily it's 90% of the time the mistake is with feet, but with juniors, and with almost every player, if we were feeding the ball to them right in the strike zone, they wouldn't be missing very often. So even juniors that aren't that good, if the ball's right where you like it, you're going to make that shot most of the time. So your job is to get your feet into position so you get that ball like that most often, and quit worrying so much exactly what your hand did.
Time called by Ava Azdaraki-Moore as Jannik Sinner will serve at 2-3. Sinner won the first 2 games of this final, but it's been 3 in a row for Taylor Fritz. There's some fans around the court who are still posing for pictures, but Sinner is ready to rock. We've got that new free movement, limited movement policy, controlled movement it's called, in the lower sections at Arthur Ashe Stadium for this U.S. Open, not deterring the players as some fans were still finding seats. It's 15-love thanks to that Sinner ace, his first of the match. Sinner this year has not lost a final. He's 5-0. Got to go back to last year's ATP finals, and he was beaten by Novak Djokovic. Last time he's lost a championship match. He misses that forehand into net. 15-all.
15-all.
Some big titles this year for Sinner. Of course, the Australian Open title to start the year, a pair of Masters in Miami and Cincinnati. Also one in Rotterdam, the indoor hard courts there, and on the grass in Halle, in Germany. Crack that serve down the center. Fritz, and then a miss hit, a total miss hit. Nothing moonball about that forehand from Sinner. He missed that into the back wall, and it's 15-30.
And that has been what's happened to him a couple of times in this tournament that I don't recall seeing anywhere else at any time. Some shanked forehands. That was a great return from Fritz because it was a big serve down the tee, and that's one thing Fritz has done well so far is he's getting the first serve back in play. 10 of 11. He's only missed 1 return.
That's a really good number.
And especially because the first serves have been pretty good. They're in the corner with pace. A lot of those returns, he's just getting his racket on and pushing them back. But servers hate having to win every point. And that's what he's making Sinner do right now.
And then Fritz came in to attack that second serve, and he just missed the backhand long. It was an aggressive play, and now it's 30-all.
Well, that's partly due to me saying he hasn't missed any returns that caused the...
That was a second serve.
Yes, I know. Well, that's true. It was different. But announcer jinx occasionally happens, and it might have happened again.
It was going to happen because I was about to highlight how well he had done on those second serve points. Fritz has still won more than half of them. So, yeah, it was there was something in the air. But here is Sinner at 30-all. He goes flat and out wide. Fritz off the court with a forehand. Then Sinner goes cross-court with the forehand, and he caught the inside of the sideline, hitting big, and it's 40-30.
That had a weird flight to it. I'm not sure. I don't know if Nick, did he hit that at all? Because that was a massive swing.
Yeah, it came off the frame just a little bit.
And it had a little extra dip to it at the end, which helped bring it in.
40-30 for Sinner here to stop this Fritz run of 3 straight games. Sinner goes down the center with a forehand. Now a forehand from Fritz, ripped into net. And he hopped up and down in place. Sinner's on the back on the board. We're even at 3 games all here in the opening set.
Both of these 2 players in their semifinal match made their opponents feel exhausted. For Draper against Sinner, he was vomiting in set 2 already. And for Francis Tiafoe, I think he started cramping a bit towards the end of set 4.
It was that 31-shot exchange that Fritz won, and from that point on, Tiafoe was down and out in the match. Another first serve coming here for Taylor Fritz. Biggest title of his life, Indian Wells. It was his home tournament. He grew up going to that tournament with his father. He beat Nadal in the final in 2022. That was an un-Nadal-like forehand miss. Well long from Fritz. It's love 15. At love 15, Fritz working quickly off the near baseline, a bit long. Only 2 titles this year for Fritz in what's been a great year, 44 and 16. Those titles both at the 250 level. Deep second serve into the back of the box, and Sinner returned into net on the backhand.
I brought up the physicality of those semifinal matches because you know that especially perhaps Fritz will be a little more nervous. When you're nervous, it takes more energy out of you, especially early. And they've had a couple of long rallies already. It's something to, hopefully it doesn't come into play, but it's a possibility.
Got to consider all those factors as Fritz goes with the cross-court backhand. We certainly saw that affect Jack Draper on Friday, the nerves and the physical toll that could take on a player. Backhand cross-court from Fritz. Now Fritz opens up into a forehand. He lines it cross-court on the ad side. Now laces one up the left sideline. Fritz glides right cross-court with a forehand there. Now he spins around to a backhand middle. Sinner meets it with a middle backhand. Forehand lifted long from Fritz, and it's 15-30 after another long rally.
Every once in a while you see Fritz
15-30.
almost snatch at a ball. And that's a sign of nerves to me, where you watch his upper body have a bit of a flinch when he really tries to hit it with pace. That's what happened on that last forehand, and the ball got away from him. Darren Cahill yelling to Sinner, that's the way to move the ball around. So obviously the strategy coming in is just punish Fritz as much as you can, move him side to side.
Half hour into this final, 3 games all between Jannik Sinner and Taylor Fritz, and Fritz missed that serve. Now is his second serve coming at 15-30, and he double faults for the first time today.
15-14.
That was strange, simply because I haven't seen it very often from Fritz. It was a bad ball toss. It was too far to the right. I haven't seen him have to chase a ball toss almost ever.
And now Fritz in danger of being broken for the second time in this opening set. He's got 2 break points to save. Saved a break point in his last service game before holding. Now he sends one down the center. A short backhand reply from Sinner. Deep backhand from Fritz, who goes forehand into the forehand cross from Sinner. Now forehand middle from Fritz. Forehand down the line. Sinner backhand. High arcing over the net from Fritz. He goes cross court with a forehand. Sinner's there with a big forehand of his own. Now another backhand from Sinner, pushing Fritz back. Short forehand. Drop shot Sinner. Here comes Taylor. Missed the forehand. His foot might have slipped a little bit. He couldn't square up that ball, but Sinner has found some joy in moving Fritz all over the place. Jannik Sinner breaks again and goes in front 4-3 in the opening set of this men's final. Brian Clark here with Jimmy Arias. Nick McCarville is courtside. And Nick, it seems like the last few minutes have seen Sinner find something that appears to be working.
Yeah, and a little bit of the feet did slip there from Taylor as he approached the net, guys. Was not set up for that forehand approach after the drop shot. Going back, Brian, to what you and Jimmy were just talking about around the physicality of the semifinals and then also the nerves. Francis actually said late in that 4th set that it was the nerves that he felt like really got to him in terms of the body starting to cramp and break down. And Taylor has spent an hour and a half longer on court than Jannik Sinner, 15 and a half hours through this US Open versus 14 hours from Sinner. So I think we will watch the physicality. We know that both these guys have worked so hard in getting into the best shape of their lives. Taylor has really said that, made that known the last couple years in the locker room and beyond, but curious to see how that physicality sort of shapes out. But advantage to Sinner here, guys. The momentum has definitely shifted. Brian, it did feel like to me that Taylor sort of lost his way mentally in that last game.
And a point you were making, Jimmy, just about how he's played better from behind, frankly, through this opening set. So maybe that's a good thing if you're a Fritz fan right now. He's got to do it again.
He does have to do it again, and he's got to figure out how to play well tied or with the lead if he wants to win this title eventually. But Sinner with the break and new balls.
Not totally over the nerves, it doesn't feel yet, Fritz.
Again, something to watch as Sinner serves, and there it's Sinner back to missing a forehand long after a pretty good serve out wide. He missed that forehand just long, and it's love 15.
I agree that both players still have moments of what I would call scratchy play. We've seen some great shots, some tough rallies, but we've also seen some shots that look as though nerves had something to do with the mistake. That was one from Sinner.
That's his 7th unforced error. Fritz has 11. Fritz had 4 through the first 2 games. He was down 2 games to love. Then he won 3 in a row, but he's now down a break again. Body serve on second serve from Sinner, who then follows it up with a booming forehand. Sinner opening up the court with a forehand. Fritz tried to come down the line with a backhand, but it's into the net for 15 all.
Not an easy ball to take down the line for Fritz, as he was on his back foot for most of that rally because of the good body second serve. That's one of the problems with attacking second serves. You're inside the baseline. If you don't get a lot on it, you're behind in the point. You're not in a good position to defend.
Now at 15 all, here's Sinner. Just out wide. Sinner's only won half of the points played on his second serve. He's 4 of 8. This second serve, Fritz hits a forehand return middle. They go middle with their ground strokes, both off the forehand. Now Fritz backs up for a backhand. Sinner with a forehand, cross-court backhand from Fritz. Sinner plays a short backhand. Now Fritz a squash shot forehand, stretched out again for a lifted forehand long. And it's 30-15 for Sinner.
30-15.
Seeing Sinner's team across the court, Simone Vagnozzi, who works with Darren Cahill as his coach. They're just trying to keep Sinner positive and motivated, as there seems like there's been a bit of a lull in the energy in this packed crowd at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Here's Sinner, 30-15. Fritz hints like he's going to come forward. It doesn't matter because Sinner went down the center with a good serve. Fritz could only frame it away into Ava Ozdaraki's Moore's chair, and it's 40-15.
Sinner serving at a much better clip than Taylor Fritz. 63% first serve percentage to only 43 for Fritz.
At 40-15, that serve just long.
For the tournament, that hasn't been the case, really. Neither player has been up in the 60% range.
Backhand return long from Fritz. Sinner's a game away from this opening set. He's up 5-3, and he heads to the chair for a new racket. Nick McCarville, am I correct? And it does feel like a bit of a lull, that the last break kind of took some starch out of this crowd.
Yeah, and I think the crowd really thought that once Taylor Fritz got that break back, that he was fully settled in this match, and the nerves have played out here, and now this is the biggest game he's faced. He's got to serve to stay in this first set.
And he missed just long down the center. Not totally uncharted territory for Fritz. He lost the first set to Tiafoe, also lost the first set to Casper Ruud, for winning both of those matches en route to this final. They trade ground strokes from the baseline. A backhand long floated from Sinner, and then Fritz off the baseline netted his forehand. It's love 15.
Almost looked as though Fritz was sure that backhand was going long. I was kind of thinking the same thing, and it must have just caught a tiny piece.
Enough to throw off Fritz. Sinner's won 12 of the last 15 points. And that has put him on the cusp of the first set of this men's final. Toss, and that serve down the center. Oh, what a return from Sinner. Inside in with the forehand. He's 2 points from the opening set.
Pretty good second serve, treated very harshly. It was 107-mile-an-hour second serve. And Sinner said not good enough. You got to start making first serves if you're Taylor Fritz, or you're going to be in for a long afternoon here.
Might be a short afternoon.
Maybe.
That serve, it's into the backhand of Sinner. Now a backhand from Fritz, forehand cross Sinner, forehand down the line from Fritz. A short ball that Sinner takes off the service line with a backhand. Now backs up for a forehand. Fritz with a backhand middle from Sinner into the middle backhand Fritz that hits the tape. It sits up for Fritz to lace a forehand. Now backhand on the run from Sinner. Backhand cross court from Fritz. Backhand down the line from Fritz. Stretched out running forehand. Sinner's good. Forehand middle from Fritz. Cross court backhand again from Sinner, who has all the answers right now and has 3 set points.
Boy, that's a little disconcerting if you're Fritz, because he had Sinner in all kinds of trouble, but then just left the ball a little in the center of the court, but it still had depth. And Sinner, again, crushes a ground stroke as if to say that's not good enough, even though against almost everybody else it would have been.
Nice way to cap off a 20-shot rally and bring up a couple of set points. Fritz needs first serves. He has one there. An ace down the center. Yeah, the Fritz serve numbers, not good. He's only getting about 40% of his first serves into play. He's winning barely half of those, and he's winning fewer than half of the second serve points. He's been broken twice. In danger of being broken for a third time. It's a second serve on a second set point for Jannik Sinner. Fritz's toss and the serve into the body. Sinner with a short backhand reply. Now to his left with the backhand. Fritz goes cross-court backhand. He puts some pace on that ball. Backs up for a forehand. Sinner stretched out with the middle forehand. Forehand middle from Fritz. Cross-court forehand off the sideline. Fritz blocks it back. Sinner mishits it. Tried to end it in style, taking it out of the air with a forehand. That's the second forehand like that we've seen him miss in this match.
We found the strategy for Fritz. You give him sitter floaters and hope he swings at forehand volleys and misses them.
Should I tell him that, Jimmy?
Yeah, I don't know if you
Taylor.
can make a living with that, but you know, that's the only thing that's been working so far.
Taylor breathing heavily at this game, guys, not from the physicality, I think just from the stress. One more break point to fight off.
He's fought off the first two, which were also set points, and did one with a second serve. He'll need this one with a second serve. Down set point for the third time. Second serve, a let.
Nick, was that a let or was that the phantom let?
That did not feel like a let to me, to be honest.
Yeah,
and that was right in front of Ava.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Her machine is the one that goes off when there's a let. That's
that
a let.
That was a let. I can confirm. I see a shaky net in front of me.
What was the machine called? That would be. It was a Cyclops. That was
a
net.
lot.
That was at Wimbledon.
Oh right, that was only. No, there was something for the net machine. Backhand cross court, bound backhand from Fritz. He's down a set point. A backhand middle long. First set of the U.S. Open men's final goes to Jannik Sinner. The world #1 started strong, faltered in the middle, but surged to the finish line. And he is 2 sets away from his first U.S. Open title. He takes the opener in 41 minutes, 6-3 on U.S. Open Radio, presented by American Express.
Second set. Sinner to serve. Love.
Jannik Sinner wins the first point of the second set. He's won 16 of the last 20 points, and that includes the first set that he took over Taylor Fritz. Then he hits a flat serve out wide here in the ad court, comes in, doesn't miss that swinging forehand, but it did give Taylor Fritz a good look, and Fritz sent his a little bit wide. It's 30 love for Sinner.
Did Nick get to Fritz and tell him, give him the floater so he can hit a swinging volley? If he did, it didn't work that time. As even though Fritz had a bit of a look at the pass and went for a home run ball.
Sinner looks across the court. 30 love. He has been on a bit of a rampage here, and that continues with an ace down the center. The biggest things that need to change for Fritz are going to come on his serve, but is there anything he can do better in the Sinner service games?
Not really. He's making as many returns as he can. He's just got to hope Sinner has a poor service game, which he's capable of.
At 40 love, here's Sinner looking for a love service game to begin the second set. And he tucks that forehand down the wide open right sideline. A flawless start to the second set for Jannik Sinner. He holds it love. And now they change ends, and now we can begin talking about what Fritz needs to do better. I think the answer is serve better. He was serving at just 38% on first serve in that first set. And you can start there when you diagnose the problem.
That's the biggest thing that he's going to have to improve. The problem is, even when he was getting first serves in, he was only winning 55% of them, but he got so few in. He got 11 first serves in out of the 30 points played.
Said before, Fritz has been here before. He lost the first set twice in this U.S. Open. And he hits a great serve out wide, gets that first serve in play. No response from Sinner.
One of the reasons the serve is so important is he's accustomed to holding serve pretty comfortably. He's been holding serve quickly, often in the tournament to this point.
Serve flat and out wide. He just missed it. Fritz this year, 8-14 in matches where he's lost the first set, but he did that twice at the U.S. Open, to Tiafoe and Ruud. And there, another Sinner shank miss on the forehand, and it's 30 love. Love here for Fritz from the far baseline. He looks out from under that white headband, kicks it out wide. Stretch forehand from Sinner. Now forehand middle Fritz. Sinner chips one over. Now a little slice from Fritz. Here comes Sinner with the backhand, and he was able to scoot that ball just past Taylor Fritz. A lot of touch at net from those two, but Sinner had a bit more.
Yeah, this is where Taylor Fritz trying a drop shot in charge, but he left way too much room down the line. You have to take that away. Left the easiest shot open.
Serve out wide, now backhand line, a stretched out forehands into net from Sinner, who then bends over to just readjust his shoes, and Fritz can stop the run here and get on the board. It's 40-15.
It's helped that he's made 3 or 4 first serves in this game, and he's gotten the edge in the point when he's gotten that first serve in. He's accustomed in the tournament to players missing almost half of his first serves.
Near perfect start to the second set for Taylor Fritz, as he says let's go to himself. He holds with an ace. One game all here in this second set. And that was Fritz just saying come on. On the season, Sinner is 46-3 when he's won the first set. Lost to Medvedev at Wimbledon despite winning the first set. Alcaraz in the Roland Garros semifinal, and also lost to Alcaraz at Indian Wells.
Thing is, he's $1.2 million when he hasn't won. I mean, when he's lost, he's won every match he's played this year almost. And he's lost 5 times.
15 love.
And he's done really well, almost perfect against players from outside of the top 10. 44-1 against players outside of the top 10. The only loss was to Tsitsipas in the Monte Carlo semifinal. Tsitsipas is, you could say, a top 10 player talent-wise. He was 12th at the time.
Well, he's a top 10 player in Monte Carlo, especially.
Yes.
Won the title already before. He just seems to love it there.
Does not love it here. It's been by far his worst major. Forehand return from Fritz. A good one, and Sinner missed long. It's 15 all. Fritz would be the first man to win the title here after winning the juniors title since Andy Murray did it 20 years ago that Murray won the boys title. Sinner taking a little bit of time after missing that first serve. Second serve down the center, a deep backhand return from Fritz. And that's Fritz pouncing on a second serve that was not quite good enough.
That's the second time where Fritz has gone inside out with his backhand return in the deuce court, and it's a great return if you can control it, because second serves that are hit with kick, in general, the player falls a little bit to their left. And so they're already leaning towards their backhand side. If you can get them quickly to the forehand, you can get some free points that way, and Fritz did it that time.
15-30, here's Sinner flat and out wide. Fritz with a short backhand. Sinner comes in, takes the forehand from the ad service line. Did not miss that one. It's 30 all.
30 all.
Fritz made the mistake of hitting it too low, so he couldn't hit a swinging volley. Instead, he got the short forehand in midcourt, and Fritz just guessed. He had to guess one side or the other. He guessed poorly.
We're joking about the sitting forehand volleys that Sinner has failed to convert. He's missed 2 of those. As the serve clock ticks down, Sinner's ready, and there's the toss. With about a second on the serve clock, he slid it out wide for 40-30.
Sinner serving better than he has all tournament long. He had 65% first serve percentage. He's 7 of 7. We've only played a few points here in set 2. I'm winning those first serve points.
2 points he's lost have been played on his second serve. On a second serve point right here as he looks to hold for 1-2. 2-1 rather. Goes into the center of the box, backhand middle, a little bit too deep from Fritz, who saw a few opportunities, but the important thing we talked about was Fritz cleaning up his own service game. He did that a few moments ago. He'll have to do that again here. Nick McCarville is courtside, and Nick, as we talk about how this match has ebbed and flowed, and it flowed away from Taylor Fritz for a bit, it really seems like he's understood that the biggest key is just serving better and cleaning up that serve.
Well, absolutely. That was the point I was going to make to you guys at the set change, Brian, is that when those stats, you guys talk about the stats, those stats are brought up mid-set here, or excuse me, between the sets. And Taylor was looking at him. I mean, obviously he knows that he's not serving well in that first set, but he looked up at the board when that 38%, I mean, a player's not happy when they're serving, what, under 60%? So when he saw that number, that was clear, and the frustration was big for Taylor after that first set, throwing his racket, not throwing, tossing rather, his racket at his chair. Yeah, I think it's taken him hopefully a set to settle in. The vibes from him these last couple games feel much more settled in this championship match, and I just think for as much sort of confident speak, and Taylor, you know, obviously believes that he should be in this position, it feels much differently to walk out there on the court and to actually try and do it. So I think he's really willing himself now to settle in and tap into his best tennis.
Yeah, I agree. I think each match that you get to in a major that's further than you've ever done before, you're adding a little extra layer of pressure, you never know when it's going to break you. It wobbled Fritz a bit in set 1. We'll see if he can keep it going now in set 2. First serve will tell the story.
That first serve right down the center, a short backhand from Sinner up the right sideline with a forehand. Fritz, who now glides to the left side, cross court with a forehand, slice forehand. Fritz takes out of the air, and ooh, boy, he crushed that ball and just caught the left sideline cross court from the deuce service box.
Did he catch it? I know the electronic line called it good, but when it landed, I thought it might have missed.
And now here's Taylor at 15 love. The good second serves, a huge difference. There's another ace. 122 miles an hour on his 4th ace of the match, already 2 here in his second service game. He goes down the center again, another ace.
So this is what Taylor Fritz does when he's dangerous, when he's winning matches, is he gets to the line, he doesn't take a whole lot of time, and he finishes his service game down in a minute. And then you have to serve again, and you're going to feel some pressure because he makes returns.
That's how Roger Federer was so successful. He'd play those 50, 60-second service games and then say, okay, here you go, try again. Backhand return into net from Sinner. Probably the best service game of the match for Taylor Fritz, and that first serve radically improved here in the second set. We're at 2-all.
Only 1 point has Taylor Fritz lost on serve in his first 2 service games in this set.
Partisan chanting, the Americans getting behind their man. There's never been an Italian man to win the U.S. Open. Flavia Panetta, the only Italian singles champion here. That was in 2015. Serve into the forehand, and the Italians that year, they denied Serena Williams the Grand Slam. Roberta Vinci, who beat Serena in the semifinal.
That was shocking.
That was one of the biggest shocks we've ever seen here. I don't think Fritz winning today would be a shock at that level, but it would be a surprise. Sinner was the favorite, and Sinner's had an incredible year now in 3 months into his reign as the world #1. Sinner missed that first serve at 15 love. Already had Italian champions, Vavasori and Aryna won the mixed doubles title. Second serve here comes into the backhand, up the line. That's again the backhand return winner for Fritz. That's a shot that has worked several times, I think 3 so far today.
3 times, always into the forehand corner. And that is where, as I said, second serve kicks, you fall left. If you can control that return down the line or to the forehand and take it early and hit it hard, you're going to get a winner. And another second serve chance here for Fritz.
Crowd sensing maybe just a bit of a dip from Sinner after a near flawless start to the set. Deep return from Fritz, who now steps into the court and miss a forehand.
And that is where the practice that Nick McCarville was talking about needed to pay off. He got the short ball and he didn't want to come to net behind it. So he waited a little bit too long. The ball dropped, made for a tougher shot.
Full house in the Fritz coaching box. We saw his mother, Kathy. She was joining the clapping with the Let's Go Taylor chants. She's a former top 10 player. And now Fritz will get another look at a second serve here. 30-15 for Sinner. 2-all in the second set. Sinner won the first set. 6-3, and now Fritz just missed that forehand long. It's 40-15 for Sinner.
Frustrating game for Fritz in a way, because he's had an opportunity in all of these points. He's hit returns that were big enough that he had the edge on the next ball.
He had something to say to his coach, Mike Russell, and Russell responded with what he thought needed to get done here. So that serve missed down the center. Sinner bouncing away with the left hand now from the far baseline. Serves, and Fritz frames the forehand, snaps the racket up in the air almost like he was going to break it. Doesn't. Sinner holds. We're on serve in the second set, but as Jimmy said, that is a frustrating game for Taylor Fritz. 2 minutes shy of the hour mark into this final. Jannik Sinner up a set. And we're on serve in the second. Nick McCarville, could you hear what Taylor was saying to Mike Russell and company there?
No, that's a completely the other corner there, Brian, from me. But yeah, I think the frustration continues for Taylor. Just doesn't feel like he's played his best tennis. And guys, obviously Jannik Sinner was the favorite coming into this match, but he has been sparkling in finals this year. He's 5-0 when he makes it into a final, obviously the Australian Open, but then did it in Rotterdam, Halle, Miami, and Cincinnati since just a couple weeks ago. So, Jimmy, you're talking about him not playing his best tennis this tournament. I agree with that. But he's been able to find a level that's better than his opponent in each of his 5 previous finals. I mean, that's a mark of a champion. And I think right now, just watching Taylor cool himself off with the courtside AC machine, I think Taylor's just a little confused, a little confounded as to exactly why he hasn't been able to find his best tennis yet today.
Yeah, I think there is a reason. I think it is the nerves, but he has at least found his serving in the last 2 service games. So if he can keep that up, he's going to have time to find the rest of his game and not make some of the errors that he's made that he hasn't been making all tournament. One thing I would say about Sinner, there's a reason why he wins all his finals. Most of the time when you're in the final, you're playing well. And I think no one can beat Sinner right now. He's #1 in the world for a reason when he's playing his best. He is the best player in the world.
Pretty small.
Maybe Alcaraz, sorry if he's completely on, or Djokovic,
But it's a very small list that Sinner is poised to join today as Fritz dumps another ace. Fritz serving much better Since the Australian Open went to hard courts in 1988, the only players who did the Australia-US Open double on the men's side the same year, Djokovic and Federer each did it 3 times, and Mats Wilander in 1988. Sinner could do that today. Backhand return from Sinner off a good Fritz serve out wide. Great defending here from Sinner, but Fritz finally puts that point away with a forehand winner from the left service line.
You can see what a difference first serves make for Fritz. First set, he was broken 3 times. Second set, he's lost 1 point in his 3rd service game so far.
Goes out wide again, and no response from Sinner. Another big difference in this second set. 9 winners to just 2 unforced errors for Fritz. Compare that with the first set, where he hit 5 winners and 12 unforced errors. 40 love here for Fritz. He goes out wide again. Sinner just can't deal with Fritz right now. He is unplayable on serve. That was one of those 1-minute games you talked about, Jimmy. But let's see if Sinner's able to have any success against the Sinner serve.
It's 3 straight very quick service holds for Fritz in set 2. A great sign for him. And now he's just got to relax a little bit on Sinner's serve. He has some opportunities when he gets a second serve to work with. If Sinner's making first serves, then you're a little bit at his mercy as well.
Sinner from the near baseline, ace up the center. Talking about the conditions and how it feels like fall today. It's a cool, breezy day. Nick was saying earlier it's not as breezy down at court level, but we're also playing at the time of day where the entire court is in shadow, and it's good that it's kind of a cloudy day because there's not the real jarring sunlight shadow portions of the court. The entire court is in the shadows as that serve is flattened into the net from Sinner, where they move the final ahead by about 2 hours than its traditional time. And the 2 o'clock start time here in New York. They trade cross court with backhands. It's a backhand middle from Sinner. Forehand from Fritz, pushing Sinner back. What a change in tempo and injection of pace from Fritz for 15 all.
Yeah, that's, I think, what Darren Cahill didn't want rallies to look like, where Sinner's been hitting a lot of balls cross court with his backhand all tournament long, and you don't want to go that way with Fritz too long because he's eventually going to inject pace when he runs around and crushes a forehand.
That's exactly what he did. And now at 15 all, Sinner's toss up the center, a backhand return, steered back by Fritz, inside out forehand Sinner, cross court backhand deep from Fritz. Now Fritz steps in, injects pace, but too much of it into that forehand down the line, and it's 30-15.
And that's the one shot that he's been missing more today than he has in any other time in this tournament. His forehand, when he's got the sitter, he has injected pace, and it's gone a little too far.
Sinner blows on that right hand. Twirls the racket. Now from the near baseline, he's up a set. 3 all in the second at 30-15. Goes out wide into the Fritz backhand short. Now forehand drop shot from Sinner. Here comes Fritz with a slice backhand. That floated long. It's 40-15 for Sinner.
40-15.
Tried a different play there to bring Fritz forward.
Again, the intangibles for Fritz aren't his strong point. He doesn't have as much feel as some players. He doesn't have much variety with slice. But what he does have is power from both wings. And here's a second serve that perhaps he can work with.
It's down the center into a backhand return. Now a cross-court backhand. Netted backhand from Fritz. Sinner holds, serving vastly improved from both players here in this second set. It'll be Fritz serving with new balls at 3-4.
By 1 set to love.
As Sinner leads by a set. Nick McCarville courtside in Arthur Ashe Stadium as we get a look at Sinner doing some landscaping work in his bag. Nick, we need the important update. A lot of celebrities on hand today. Chief among them, maybe the best quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. But it's who he's with. His teammate Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. We're seeing John Bon Jovi. And that answers my question. Are they showing the celebrities on the big screen?
Oh, yeah. There's McConaughey and the USA headband. Guys, Taylor Swift just sending off his racket actually both guys sending off rackets. I didn't catch what Jannik Sinner said to the court attendant. Noah Lyles here, the Olympic champion, 100 meters. I believe Taylor just wants the same tension. But Jimmy, this was going off of what we were talking about a little bit earlier, is after Taylor made that big miss on the forehand where he was looking to inject pace there, Michael Russell said to him, "You're lifting up. You're trying to rush through that shot." He's saying, stay down, swing through it before lifting your body weight. And that was what they had talked about a little bit during that practice session, the warm-up today that I was talking about earlier. One other point of interest for you guys courtside is you mentioned Federer and Djokovic, the only guys to win the AO US Open double since it went both hard courts. You've got Mats Wilander was the other one, Brian. You mentioned that, and Wilander just courtside, hanging out.
It's a who's who courtside.
Sure is.
Taylor Fritz serving with new balls. And Taylor Fritz has been almost perfect on serve here in this second set, and he stays that way out wide, and Sinner couldn't get it back into play. Sinner has now lost just 1 point on serve, or excuse me, Fritz has lost just 1 point on serve here in the second set. Now down the center again, another ace from Fritz. 5 aces in the second set. This is a masterclass from Taylor Fritz.
5 aces in his 4th service game. So he's getting 1 to 2 free points a game.
Not an ace, but a free point.
Yeah, he's got nothing but free points in this set. Has very few returns from Sinner finding the court, which gives you an idea of just how well Fritz is serving, because Sinner is one of the best returners I've ever seen.
He leads the tour this year in returns, and with returns like that, that's an example of why, from a deep ad-court position, he hit a backhand down the line that got deep enough to trouble Fritz. It's 40-15.
And he's back again in Daniil Medvedev territory, almost at the back fence, which makes you think wide serve.
It is a wide serve, and that's a wide forehand return, but into net from Sinner. You knew it was coming, but there was nothing that Sinner could do about it.
Yeah, that's the problem with that position. If the serve is hit wide enough, you are not only at the back fence, but you're also in the stands on the side of the court, and you've got to hit almost a winner from there. You've got no way to play the next ball.
1 hour, 7 minutes into this final after a 1 minute, 9 second service game. Pressure's back on Sinner. The level from both is much higher here in this second set. That first set was, as you said, scratchy at some points, but it was mostly favoring Sinner as Fritz was broken 3 times.
Numbers are crazy. 6 winners, 1 unforced error for Sinner.
Serve into the body of Fritz, who moves left with a cross-court backhand. A short ball that Sinner takes with a forehand. Now backhand middle from Fritz, pushing Sinner back. Forehand middle again from Fritz. Sinner takes off the baseline. Sinner giving Fritz some short balls here. Now he injected some pace with big forehands from both. Backhand from Fritz, inside in, backhand cross. What a cross, but a stretch backhand from Fritz. Forehand down the line from Sinner, and Fritz can't match that one. It's 15-love.
And that's an example of where Fritz needs to work on the mid-court ball. You said it. He's got a couple of short balls in that rally, and he still took the forehands from behind the baseline. He didn't step up. He didn't take it early. That's the next level for him, if he can ever get himself just a little more comfortable in that mid-court and then finishing at the net.
17 shots in that rally. 9th game of the second set, and Sinner smacks that first serve into the net. Sinner won the first set 6-3 in 41 minutes, breaking Fritz 3 times along the way. Now the toss and that serve, it's right into the box, a forehand middle. Now forehand mishit by Sinner from inside the baseline because Fritz hit a pretty good deep return. It's 15-all.
Deep return from right around the baseline with pace, and it was almost as if Sinner just finished his serve motion and he was having to come up with a ball right off his shoe tops.
Now 15-all as Sinner sways from left to right, drifts towards the baseline. Serve comes into his body. He meets it with a forehand, little forehand drop shot. Sinner, and Fritz did not even bother because he had no chance. A good drop shot from Sinner. It's 30-15.
A combination of well executed, but also well disguised. And you saw there was almost a little flinch from Fritz, as he didn't see it at all. And by the time he did, it was way too late to take off.
Seventh winner for Sinner here in the second set, matching his first set total. Body serve handcuffed Fritz, who punched the backhand long. Looks frustrated. He did not hit a better return. It's 40-15.
Yeah, this has been a frustrating set if you're Taylor Fritz, only because he's winning virtually every point on his own serve. He's lost 2 points. He's not doing that much better against Sinner.
Short backhand return from Fritz, who now hits a forehand middle inside in forehand from Sinner. Fritz hits a big forehand down the line. Now a cross-court backhand from both players. Backhand cross from Fritz into the backhand middle from Sinner. Forehand, oh, just long from Fritz, just missing these balls. Sinner's done his part. He holds for 5-4.
Sinner leads by 5 games to 4.
And that's the part that's so frustrating
to
me, if I'm a Taylor Fritz fan, is that he's been in these points. He's had good looks at ground strokes that he hasn't missed that often. He's just missing them by an inch or two today. And he's allowing Sinner to hold each time. And now, serving 4-5 to stay in set 2. You've only lost 2 points in this set to this point. If this game gets 30 all, you're going to start feeling an amazing amount of tension.
Jimmy, how does he handle that tension? I mean,
that's the question,
right?
And I think it's going to be difficult. What he needs to do, easier said than done, is continue serving bombs in the corner and get another quick service hold. But you just get a sense it's going to be hard to do every game of this set against Sinner. So if you're a Fritz fan, this game is maybe one that you're feeling a little bit nervous. The first couple of points are so important. If he gets even 15 all, I'm afraid that first serve might start misfiring like it was in set 1.
Well, and that's what we saw from Francis Tiafoe when these guys met in that second set. The nerves got to him, serving to stay in the set, and then Francis even said, Jimmy, at the end of that fourth set, that it wasn't just the physicality, it was the stress and the nerves that got him cramping in the fourth set. Obviously, we're not to cramping stages just yet. The serve is the first thing that Taylor's really tapped into, guys, I think, in the second set, Jimmy, to really lean into it. And like you say, he has to be able to deliver it here at 4-5.
Taylor Fritz trying to keep this second set alive. He's down a set to Jannik Sinner. And he missed that first serve. Biggest difference from the first set to the second has been how much better Fritz has served, and that's been keyed by hitting good second serves. Kind of a mishit return from Sinner on this second serve. Now they trade cross-court backhands. A slice from Sinner, changing the tempo, and Fritz missed long with the forehand. It's love 15.
This is very shaky times now. The first serve, it wasn't just that he missed it. It was closer to the baseline than the service line. So again, when he showed his nerves early in the first set, forehand and serve, first serve is what was misfiring. Just missed both of those.
Serve into the body of Sinner, who meets it with a backhand. Now a forehand cross-court, forehand cross towards the line from Sinner. What a forehand from Fritz. Sinner's there with a forehand down the line, and Fritz missed into the net with a backhand. And Fritz is in serious trouble here at love 30.
Lost 2 points in this set until this game, and has now lost the first 2 points. He did hit a beautiful forehand on the run, but then missed what to him is a routine backhand cross.
First serve here, he goes down to Sinner. Sinner blocks it with a backhand, lands in. Big forehand from Fritz to drive a winner cross court. 15-30.
Remember that shot if somehow Fritz ends up winning this match, because that was not that easy. I know it was a serve +1, but the return was a lob that landed a foot from the baseline, and Fritz somehow took it on the rise and crushed an inside-out forehand.
And now Fritz going out wide, missed that first serve. 15-30. Fritz must hold here, down 4-5 in the second set. He dropped the first set as the serve kicks up into the Sinner backhand. Now backing up inside in forehand from Fritz. Forehand middle Sinner, who moves to his left with a cross-court backhand. Backhand cross Fritz. Sinner backhand cross-court. They trade, and Fritz misses into net. And it is double set point for Jannik Sinner.
Sinner made by where he was standing to hit that second serve return way in the fence. He was saying, I don't think you're going to make 10, 12 balls in a row. I'm just going to put it in under this pressure, and you're going to give me an error, and it's exactly what happened.
Down 2 set points. It's Taylor Fritz. The toss, the serve. He missed it out wide. Fritz had lost just 2 points on serve in this set, but now he's lost 3 in this game. He's down 2 break points. The second serve, it's a middle forehand from both. It's Sinner a bit deeper. Fritz lifts that forehand. Sinner flattens it out with a kick backhand. Cross-court backhand Fritz. Backhand cross from Sinner. Now forehands from both. A backhand cross from Fritz. A cross-court backhand. They trade again. It's Sinner up the line with a backhand. Stretching out Fritz, who can't clear the net. Jannik Sinner is 1 set away from the U.S. Open title. He weathered the Taylor Fritz storm, and then the world #1 pounced. He broke Fritz at a difficult time, and Jannik Sinner is 1 set away from the U.S. Open title.
Isn't it amazing how things that I told you were going to happen often in tennis? It's tough to hold serving first set when you've only lost a couple of points against someone that returns as well as Sinner.
Take a quick break, come back for set 3 on U.S. Open Radio, presented by American Express.
You're listening live to U.S. Open Radio, presented by American Express. Nick McCarville courtside here as Jannik Sinner kicks off the 3rd set. Ava Azraki-Moore just clearing the court. And guys, a lot of communication, Brian Clark, from Michael Russell to Taylor Fritz, trying to just settle him down and tell him that he is still in this match, but it feels like, Brian, that this is a steep mountain now for Taylor to climb.
He's come back from 2 sets to love down before. He did it, of course, against Zverev at Wimbledon this year. But based on what we saw and the way that second set went, and Sinner serves first, up 2 sets to love, and Fritz takes the point. Yeah, if you're Michael Russell, Jimmy, what could you say to Fritz? Because he did everything right until that final game.
Well, I think you say exactly what Nick said, in the sense that he said, is that you came into this match, you needed to win 3 sets to win this title. You still need to win 3 sets. So take it 1 at a time and see what happens.
No margin for error at this point for Taylor Fritz in his maiden major final. And their Sinner misses a forehand, and crowd is certainly not out of it as Fritz has taken the first 2 points of the 3rd set.
Russell telling him, get fired up, come on. Again, Fritz is missing some forehands that he's not accustomed to missing. He's set some points up nicely that he hasn't finished the way he would like, the way he has all tournament long.
Second serve here for Sinner. 23 years old. He goes with a body serve. Deep middle forehand return from Fritz, who now injects pace into that forehand. No response from Sinner. And now 3 break points for Taylor Fritz. Fritz broke Sinner in the Italian's 2nd service game of the match. That was back in the 1st set. Problem was for Fritz, he was broken 3 times in that opening set. But he can start the 3rd set with a lead here. The toss and that serve, it's up the center. Punch back with a forehand, booming forehand from Sinner. Pretty nice sequence from Sinner to save the first of 3 break points.
Yeah, that really was. It was a good first serve, a good return from Fritz, and Sinner, while backing away, running around his backhand and going towards further back in the court, somehow hit an inside-out angle with pace. For Fritz, he needs a second serve, you get the sense, on one of these next 2.
He's had a lot of joy on the Sinner second serve, and he'll get a second serve as Sinner missed it long. 15-40 for Sinner. Opening game, third set, second serve. Fritz tees off with a forehand. Now backhand middle from Sinner. Backhand cross court from Fritz, pushing Sinner back. Backhand line, Fritz stretched out forehand from Sinner. Forehand middle, Fritz. In comes Sinner, inside out with the backhand, stretching out Fritz. Now another big forehand from Sinner to save a second break point.
That point is the reason why most likely Sinner finds a way to end up winning this match, and that both players were almost in the same position, having to dig something out of a forehand corner deep. Sinner was able to do it and get neutral really quickly, whereas Fritz, that half step slower, got it further in trouble, and eventually it led to that winner.
And now here's Jannik Sinner, 30-40. Down the center, a lunging forehand return is punched long by Fritz, who looks very frustrated seeing those 3 break points come and go. It's deuce.
I understand the frustration because he has had opportunities. I know it doesn't look like it when you look at the numbers, but when you watch the points, he's had chances on Sinner's serve in the rallies, within the rallies, and he's not quite been able to take advantage. Just an odd error here and there.
Ace up the center for Sinner. 5th ace of this match. And now they've fought off those 3 break points. A chance to hold for the first game of this third set. Fritz is deep behind that far baseline. Sinner goes big again, leaning, blocking with the backhand is Fritz. Sinner waits for the bounce. He doesn't miss that one. Put the overhead into the service box, then into the seats, and he is in front in this third set. He saves 3 break points.
First game, third set.
And holds. And just the mental scar tissue's got to be building for Taylor Fritz.
Oh, it's enormous right now. For him to get out of what's transpired so far is going to take a Herculean effort for Taylor Fritz. And one thing I've been always thought I've been impressed with Taylor Fritz is mentally he's a great competitor. He fights. I've never seen him get overly discouraged. Just keeps plugging away. He's going to have to really harken back on those skills.
As he serves around the net post with that forehand return was Sinner, as Fritz did not get the serve out wide enough. Now some big angles, drop shot Sinner. Here comes Fritz with a 2-hand backhand. Sinner tries to pass him. Fritz blocked volley. Now a second reflex volley, and it worked for Fritz, making Sinner play the extra shot. And Sinner punched it long. A scramble point goes Fritz's way.
That might be one of the first points that Fritz stole. He was in all sorts of trouble. He stuck out his racket and popped up a volley. Sinner could have taken him out with a 4, and he tried to be nice and roll it around him, and it didn't work.
15 love here for Fritz. Up the center he goes. Sinner from a very deep position. Now a cross-court forehand from Fritz. Backhand middle Fritz. Backhand cross-court. Now a stretch backhand from Fritz. It floats into the alley. Sinner was right on top of that too, ready to go cross-court with a forehand. It's 15 all.
Well, Sinner's made a bit of an adjustment here in the last few minutes on the return games, because second set when Fritz was serving well, he was getting free point after free point, and all of a sudden Sinner has backed way up into the Medvedev stance, and he's making returns. And that's forcing Fritz to have to win the rallies, which has been a bit of a struggle for him today.
Now Fritz deep into the box on that second serve. He punches a forehand middle. Sinner still very deep behind the baseline, as you called it, that Medvedev position. Lifted backhand, those mishit by Sinner. It's well long, and it's 30-15 for Fritz.
And this is where when an opponent stands that far back, when they're close to the fence in a court as big as Arthur Ashe Stadium, if you could serve and volley out wide, all you have to do is touch the volley, because you're going to get to the net pretty close because of how much time it takes.
Good wide serve from Fritz, and Sinner's returns long, 40-15 for Fritz.
But players today don't utilize it. They've started to against Medvedev, because enough players have done it that they see it works, but no one's thought about it against Sinner, because he doesn't normally stand back here.
Ace for Fritz. Michael Russell and company in the box. His girlfriend Morgan, they're all up on their feet, applauding.
Third set.
Fritz's fight not diminishing, as you said, Jimmy. But unfortunately for him, the scoreboard does not work in his favor. It also tells no lies, and it shows that Jannik Sinner is up 2-0 on Taylor Fritz. You can hear Fritz's box trying to keep him going. That's Michael Russell's wife, Lily. She's always a front row presence in the box. Now it's Sinner. Tossing that serve down the center. Sinner's parents were not in Australia, and as far as I know, they're not here in the U.S. Open. And Darren Cahill in Australia was talking about, you know, Australia's not exactly a hop, skip, and a jump from Northern Italy, but they've got a business to run, they've got work, jobs to attend. And there's also the concern, and you can relate to this, Jimmy, probably as a former pro player, when you bring in people who aren't the usual team, the usual setup, it can throw off the vibes and the mojo a little bit.
Well, what's interesting is Jessica Pegula, who I have worked with some over the last few years, played in the women's final. And
serve from Sinner into the backhand from Fritz. Now cross-court backhand into the backhand cross, backhand middle. Backhand driven deep by Fritz. Now a lifted backhand, forehand. Oh, Fritz trying to hit a too fine angle and sprayed it just a bit wide. It's 30-love.
She offered, do you want to come sit in the box for the final? And I actually turned it down, saying, it's been working for you with who's in your box, I think you should stick with that. I didn't want to be the cause of any possible loss.
Very nice of her. Can she get you Bills tickets, which is probably something else?
It's a little harder, shockingly.
Really? Interesting. Even with the amount of juice she has there?
I understand.
Wow. Got to get to work on that one. Now forehand from Fritz is big. He's got Sinner sliding around deep behind the baseline, across court backhand. Now backhand cross into the backhand middle from Fritz, who glides back to his right. Cross court forehand. Now a middle forehand is long. It's 30-15, and that's an encouraging side for Fritz. And yeah, just thinking about that women's final for a moment, I know that you've worked on and off, as you said, with Jess for years, and it's so impressive when you think about the fact she does not need to be grinding away, how hard of a worker she is. And I know you've talked about how down-to-earth of a person she is, and I think the entire world can now see that she's just a regular person who's achieving success in pro tennis.
Yeah, it is remarkable. Having said that, she wasn't quite as much of a billionaire growing up. It happened when she was a teenager.
If that happened to me when I were a teenager, I'm not sure I'd be sitting here. As much as I like you guys, but you know, it's fantastic she did that. As Sinner goes down the line with a backhand, and he just pulled it off. He had a pretty open look, but he kept it tight to the line and caught the outside of that right sideline.
Yeah, that's what caused this backhand that barely caught a piece. That's another one where I would have thought the electronic line calling device was maybe off by a millimeter or two, and you can see Taylor Fritz throwing his hands up in the air. Not quite buying it.
It's been a frustrating 90 minutes on court for Taylor Fritz, down 2-0 to Jannik Sinner here in this U.S. Open men's final. Tossing that serve, it's out wide. Nice return from a stretched out Fritz, but Sinner makes him run by going back and short onto the other side of the court. Fritz could get nowhere near it. And Sinner on serve, ticking towards a title as we check in courtside with Nick McCarville. And Nick, something we've been talking about, the fight is not going out of Taylor Fritz, but the scoreboard is, unfortunately for him, just telling a different story.
Yeah, Brian, that's exactly right. They're just showing Billie Jean King up on the big screen, getting a huge welcome. She's in the front row just behind in that president's box area. You mentioned, Brian, the come-from-behind win against Sasha Zverev at Wimbledon. Taylor's also come from behind here at the U.S. Open 2018 against Misha Zverev. So I guess he needs to be playing a Zverev brother to be able to come back from 2-0 down. You guys called this out too, is that Michael Russell and that camp, they've been a little more aggressive with Taylor. I think they're just trying to fully pump him up and tell him that he's well and truly in this match. The first 2 sets, it was kind of like, calm down, get your serve in, and now they're like, all right, man, you got to go for it. Morgan Riddle, his partner, she's been very vocal in the box as well. And did I hear Jimmy Wright think that he had the power to win or lose Jessica Pegula Grand Slam final?
I mean,
is that what you're saying, Jimmy?
I didn't want to have the power to have her lose one.
Oh, right.
I certainly didn't want to. I don't think I had the power to help her win one, but I think I could have had.
I don't know. It might be something you live to regret.
I mean, she didn't win in the end, so yeah, it wasn't my fault.
Or was it? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know.
The superstitions are interesting. I do see Seal in the box of Jannik Sinner. Pretty sure Seal hasn't been here for.
No, he's been here for at least a couple.
Okay, all right.
I was curious. Seal was always tight.
He's a huge tennis
But he was tight with Alex de Minaur, and now he's seemingly abandoned de Minaur and moved over to Jannik Sinner.
He's going up the rankings slightly. Can't get any higher than Sinner now.
Yeah.
Sinner's going to end up lapping the field this year because he's gaining points from this tournament.
Yeah, Alcaraz, of course, not losing early. Djokovic losing his defending champion points. At 15-love, Fritz's second serve is deep into the box. Now a cross-court backhand, a forehand into the forehand cross-court from a sliding Sinner who steps into the court to hit a middle forehand. Fritz tried to quicken the pace, but he missed his forehand into net. And it's 15-all.
Yeah, that's an example of what's been happening in this match. That's a point where they were on even terms, and maybe slightly ahead was Fritz. And he made an unforced error. 22 now in all.
12 of them in that opening set, which he lost 6-3. He played a nearly perfect second set. The problem was he had lost 2 points on serve and was then broken in what was the final game of that second set, trying to keep this third set on serve, 30-15. We talked about the Fritz comebacks from 2 sets to love down, of course, earlier this year at Wimbledon against Sasha Zverev, and then, as Nick McCarville mentioned, to Misha Zverev here 6 years ago. One of the few times Sinner's blown a 2 sets to love lead as Fritz now misses an off-balance backhand from the baseline was here, 2020, no fans. Corinne Khachanov.
Again, Sinner way back to return, and Fritz has a nice wide serve in the deuce court where he slices it. It doesn't hit it that hard.
At 30-all, he goes out wide. What a return from Sinner. Short forehand from Fritz. Sinner had to cover so much ground, but just missed the backhand. He was off the screen, almost out the door, but got that ball back in play, and the crowd appreciating that effort.
Yeah, Fritz ended up having to hit a half volley that he was lucky that he could get it into the court because it was a little late. It went down the line.
At 40-30, right down the center comes Fritz, and a mishit forehand from the back fence for Sinner. Fritz holds 2-all, third set.
2 games all, third set.
Fritz held, but in the ad court, as I said, when Sinner has backed up as far as he has, he's got a nice serve out wide in the deuce court. In the ad court, when he goes wide, it's hard and it's flat, and it's not difficult for Sinner to get that ball back deep and be right back in position. Fritz is going to have to start hitting a kick, a nasty kick first serve sometimes. Pull Sinner even wider to the backhand, or he's going to eventually have trouble holding in one of these games.
At 2-all, here's Sinner, who's had no trouble holding in this set. Second serve from Sinner. He floats it into the center. A deep backhand from Fritz. Now a forehand from Fritz, pulling Sinner back into his right. Now a backhand from Fritz. Sinner steps in on that short ball, goes cross court with a backhand. Floating slice from Fritz. Sinner flattens that out into a forehand, and that provided the final answer.
That is another example, that point, of why Sinner has the better chance of winning this match, outside of the fact that it's 2 sets to love, is Fritz hit a huge ball deep in the corner, and he was expecting to be on top of the point from that, and instead Sinner, so quick, defended it and was even in the rally. Fritz can't defend as well as Sinner can.
That has absolutely made a difference here in this match, where Jannik Sinner, the world #1, closing in on his first U.S. Open title. Second serve from Sinner into the center of the box. Deep backhand return from Fritz. Inside in forehand. Now flattened out forehand big from Fritz. Sinner, good defense to get there. Makes Fritz hit another ball. Didn't miss that one, though. He crushed the forehand from the left sideline. Ad side. 15 all.
15 all.
Yeah, a couple of massive forehands from Fritz that time. And still, Sinner moved so well. He nearly got his racket on the last shot.
.21 winners now for Fritz, who actually has 2 more than Sinner. Problem is, Fritz has 23 unforced errors. Sinner's +7, 19 winners, 12 unforced errors. It's just been efficient. Serve down the center that Fritz could only block back into net. It's 30-15.
Well, and the other problem is first serve points for Sinner. He's winning almost 90% of them. He's at 86% when he gets that first serve in. And I would say he's not the bigger server of the two. Fritz is only 73% in the match when he's getting first serve in, so that's a bit of a surprising stat.
Second serve here from Sinner into the body of Fritz with a long return, a backhand. Fritz punches away that ball with the racket in frustration. It's 40-15. Not a remarkable second serve. Fritz just mad that he missed that. 40-15 here for Sinner. He looks across the baseline and sends one up the center. A little bit long, and now Fritz will get a look at a second serve. He's had some good success against the Sinner's second serve and doesn't need to do anything there as Sinner double faults.
40-30.
Second double fault of the afternoon for Sinner. As Taylor Fritz looks towards the big video screen here in Arthur Ashe Stadium. He did not play in Ashe until his quarterfinal against Zverev. He played his first 4 matches in Armstrong. Really likes playing on Armstrong. 40-30 from Sinner, right up the center. A forehand return from Fritz, inside in forehand. Spot on from Jannik Sinner. He took it from the center of the baseline and found the far corner for a winner. He is halfway home to a US Open title. As they sit down, and Fritz, maybe the most visible frustration we've seen, Nick McCarville, who's courtside.
Yeah, the frustration there. The one thing I was going to say too, Brian, is that even though that frustration has been pretty present today for Taylor Fritz, he's got to recognize the moment for Jannik Sinner here and the fact that Sinner's trying to close out his first US Open, so he has to expect some nerves to come in for Jannik Sinner. He has to back himself. And this crowd, any opportunity, guys, you can just feel it in this arena. Any moment where you're gonna have the opportunity to back Taylor Fritz, this place is gonna explode. So I think that he's got to be thinking with that warrior mentality too. Even though we've been talking a lot of the mentality of Taylor Fritz, the nerves, I don't know, Jimmy, do you think that Jannik Sinner is going to get a little bit nervous here as he inches towards a first ever US Open?
Do I think he will? I think it's possible, but I think he'll get over it. So I think it's going to be difficult unless, as you said, Fritz can do a couple of nice things and get the crowd really involved. And if the crowd gets loud enough and there's enough of a feel of this momentum swing, then maybe Fritz is in there with a chance.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the one thing, guys, I'm trying to pull out too, is that it does feel, I mean, this is a who's who today in New York. It does feel like the place will go wild if Fritz, gets a break point deep or gets an actual break. Then that could change the dynamic.
He's running out of chances, though, as he's down 2 sets to love and serving now at 2-3 in the third set to Jannik Sinner. And Fritz's service games have not been as smooth, they've not been as dominant as they were in that second set.
Maybe that's a good thing, that he's at least had to have a few moments of angst within his service game and still be able to come through.
Second serve, a deep backhand return. Now a forehand cross from Fritz, who moves right for a forehand middle. Forehand from Sinner with some topspin. Now cross-court backhand from Fritz. Oh, Sinner opened up the angle and kissed the inside of the sideline. Cross-court, it's love 15.
That was ridiculous. I don't know how he came up with that angle. He was still so far behind the baseline. Well, actually just right up on the baseline when he ran around.
12 forehand winners now for Jannik Sinner in this match, who returns the serve that sits up for Fritz to drive home the backhand up the left sideline for a winner. It's 15 all.
And again, this was serving out wide because of how far back Sinner is to return. That's one of the few times in the ad court, even though he hit it flat, it got very wide. He needs to be able to serve. If he's going to serve wide here, he's got to get it very wide.
Serve out wide. Now the forehand return from Fritz floats over into a topspin forehand deep from Sinner. Now an inside-out forehand Sinner. Fritz on the run. Cross-court with the backhand. Now left side. Cross-court backhand from Fritz. He has the open line, but missed his forehand. And he's got to be careful here at 15-30.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little nervous for Taylor Fritz right now because a couple of those serves, he's gotten first serves in the deuce court, but the wide serve hasn't been wide enough, and it just starts a rally. And right now, Sinner's winning those neutral rallies.
15-30 here for Fritz, who serves up the center. Sinner way back with a short return, and Fritz missed the forehand. He was coming into net maybe a step late, but he just airmailed that forehand, and now he's in real trouble down 2 break points.
The crowd knows this is the moment. If he can get out of this game, maybe they can become involved. If he doesn't, it's going to be very difficult to climb back. Huge 2 points.
First point missed wide, the first serve, and now Fritz has to come up with a second serve. And the second serve, it's deep into the box. That was a good second serve, and forehand cross-court wide. Fritz halfway to safety. He saves the break point, but he has another to worry about.
Yeah, but maybe that was what Nick McCarville was saying. Will Sinner get tight? Because I don't think he would have missed that forehand return if it had been a different score. He knows how big this point is, too.
Fritz missed that first serve into the center of the net.
Sinner moving up now in this second serve.
At 30-40, down a break point, the backhand return from Sinner, forehand line from Fritz, stretched out forehand Sinner. Fritz waits, cross court with a forehand, lifted forehand from Sinner. Fritz waits again with a deep forehand. Sinner takes off the baseline, inside out forehand from Fritz, running backhand from Sinner, cross court backhand. Fritz is down a break point here. He goes cross court with a backhand. Now backhand, they trade, cross court, ad side, backhand Sinner. Backhand middle from Fritz, Sinner goes forehand. Fritz stays on the backhand wing. He's not putting a lot of margin on these balls. It's a forehand as Sinner turned it up but missed it wide. Fritz flirting with danger, but he survives for deuce.
Must have hit 4 shots within that 21-shot rally that looked as though they might go long. They all landed on the baseline. Fritz laughing and talking into his player box about just how he got out of that last break point.
Now he's at deuce, and he goes up the center. Crowd wants to roar, but Sinner gets it back, and Fritz has to come in and play the forehand, which he does without any defending. 134 miles an hour. One of the biggest serves of the match from Fritz, who now has a chance for 3 all. It's a big sequence here, especially if Fritz is somehow able to find his way back into this match. He's got to win this set. Now with a second serve. Toss and that second serve. It's deep into the backhand corner from a very deep Sinner. Forehand middle Fritz. They trade from the center of the baseline. Cross-court forehand from Fritz, who now goes with another big forehand. Forehand middle into a forehand middle from Fritz. Backhand from Sinner. Now inside in forehand. There's the winner from Fritz. He escapes. Taylor Fritz saves 2 break points. His team on its feet. All of Ash on its feet. 3 games all in the 3rd set.
All right, so now is the time if you're Fritz. If you're going to make a move, this is a good opportunity, maybe a little less good because it's new balls. So that might help the server and Sinner about to serve a 3-all, but that was the first real escape for Fritz. And he got a little bit of help from Sinner. Sinner missed a couple of forehands. He hasn't been missing much in this match. So see if Taylor Fritz can take advantage of that just slight hiccup from Sinner.
3-all, Sinner missing out wide. You heard Mike Russell saying you're hitting the ball great. He was also telling Taylor to keep his energy up. Fritz will get a look at a second serve here. Sinner sends one down into the box. Forehand off the shoe tops from Fritz. Now a cross-court forehand. Backhand cross-court from Sinner. Backhand hangs up into a forehand, hits the tape. Fritz adjusts to it, goes cross-court with a forehand. Fritz has the open right sideline, sends the forehand there. But Sinner stretched out the angle. Now comes in with a volley. A lethal 1-2 from Jannik Sinner for 15 love.
There's been some amazing shots from Sinner, and this was one on the backhand where from the baseline, all of a sudden he'll, instead of just pace, he opens the court with great angles. And that time when he did, he recognized that he's probably getting a floater coming back. So he ran in, covered the net beautifully, knocked off the volley. He didn't go for the swinging volley that we know he struggled with today early on.
We saw him miss 2 of those in the first set. Hasn't done much wrong in this match. He's up 2-0 on Taylor Fritz. He dumps that serve into net.
Fritz should still be looking to attack these second serves, and if it goes into the backhand, get him with the line.
Body serve deep, forehand return from Fritz, who now moves right for a forehand up the line. He's keeping Sinner pinned back behind the baseline. Cross-court backhand. Now it's a backhand short ball from Fritz. Sinner long, 15-all.
It's still so much extra pressure on Fritz because you see that last point. It started with Fritz with a huge return deep. He had, as you said, Sinner pinned, but pretty quickly Sinner was able to unpin himself. Whereas when Fritz is pinned back, he can't get out of it. So that means Fritz has to be almost perfect. When he has the edge, he's got to make sure he's making those shots. He's not making the unforced errors that he has.
Sinner missed that serve by feet out wide. Now a second serve for the world #1. Looking for his 6th title this year and his 2nd major. Forehand from Fritz, and now a cross-court forehand. Sinner forehand drop shot. Fritz, first one we've seen. Here comes Sinner though with a backhand. Fritz hits a lob on the backhand. Sinner gives chase with a backhand lob of his own. Fritz backs up, hits the overhead winner. Then he pumps the right fist to get the crowd on his side.
And you know this crowd, not only, they're always going to be cheering for the American, but on top of that, they want more tennis. So they're even more vociferous than they normally would be. And that was a great drop shot from Fritz, which to me, you can't hit good drop shots if you're tight. So he's not feeling as much tension right now. This is a chance for Fritz to get something good happening his way. The crowd fully involved, not even letting them play.
Yeah, the players stop. Ava Azdaraki-Moore says thank you. 15:30, half chance here for Fritz. Hour 50 into this final. And Fritz will get a look at a second serve, and he's going to get a look at the baseline as he moves up to attack this second serve at 15:30. Sinner's toss and the serve, it's out wide. The backhand return from Fritz. Backhand off balance from Sinner. Deep forehand middle from Fritz. Fritz now with a backhand middle. Sinner goes backhand cross on the ad side. Fritz does the same. Backhand middle Sinner. Fritz steps in. Big forehand. Sinner's there. Backhand volley. Just good from Fritz. Sinner slides into it. There's Fritz with another volley winner. 2 break points for the U.S. #1. Those instructions from Mike Russell, a little more energy. Fritz has taken that to heat. He is pumping himself up after every point.
Well, he's played the 2 best points he's played of the match. The last 2, he had to hit a conventional backhand volley. He did it pretty well, closed, got the fist pump. The crowd is beside themselves. The problem is he's had triple break point in this set. He needs some second serves on these break points.
Sinner's been in this hole before and he get a second serve here.
He's got one. That's why the crowd's clapping. They know how important second serve has been.
Fritz trying to break here, and he does with a double fault. We wondered how Sinner might handle the magnitude of these moments. We might have just gotten an answer. Taylor Fritz in control of this third set, but a long way to go. Fritz in front 4-3. Nick McCarville is courtside in a very loud, a vociferously loud, as Jimmy Arias said, Arthur Ashe Stadium. This feels like a big shot in the arm for Fritz.
Oh, huge, guys. I don't know. It just felt like there had to be a moment where Jannik Sinner was going to blink, and that was it. And Taylor Fritz, on the 2 big points, really celebrated their guys, and he hadn't done that all day. He had not engaged this crowd, and like Jimmy said, it was an opportunity for him to really engage the crowd, ask them for their support, and I think it was smart of him to do that. And now he's the front runner, but now we have to go all the way back to the first set where he was the one that was down the break, got even, and then didn't play his tennis, so he's got to tap into that again. But I will tell you, this place is rocking. They not only want to see a 4th set, they want to see it go 5.
Well, in the end, they want to see an American win. That's ideally, but they certainly want more tennis, and they look as though they might get it. The blink from Sinner, to me, happened in 15:40 with Fritz serving at 2-3. 2 sets to love, 3-2 Sinner, 15:40, second serve. And he'd been winning all of the rallies up until that point. He misses a couple of forehands those next 2 points, and that has changed the momentum for now. He did get tight. Nick McCarville, I was wrong. I didn't think he would.
But Jimmy, that one forehand was a shankopotamus, right? I mean, it was just, it was, and now it's the Sinner box of the guy, both Simone Vagnozzi and Darren Cahill, trying to stand up and tell their guy that he's in this. And obviously he's in this, but he's in this set. They want to close it in 3.
Now this is always can be another game where momentum swings. You've just had 2 great things happen for you. You held from 15:40 and you broke.
Let her service.
Fritz needs to hold this game to keep a little of this momentum going. Often consolidating the break isn't the easiest.
We'll have to start here with a second serve after missing the first, and first serve rather. And he sent that long. I would have said that would have been a big second serve, but that is a true second serve, and that is a double fault. After the let, he missed the first serve long at 132, and then he missed the second serve long at 96. Love 15, Fritz working quickly, goes out into the Sinner backhand cross court, backhand middle from Fritz, backhand middle Sinner. Fritz with a middle forehand, a short ball that Sinner takes cross court with the backhand. Sinner backs up and nets. Looking line with the forehand. It was an open line, but he just missed it into the net. It's 15-all.
Again, one of the few points where Fritz was in trouble, and he did get an error from Sinner. He didn't save it with some great movement.
Sinner is way back to receive serve here at 15-all, and in the deuce court, Fritz nets the first serve. Here comes the second. Kicks it out to the forehand of Sinner. A deep return. Forehand down the line from Fritz. Backhand cross from Sinner. Backhand middle Fritz. Forehand middle from Sinner. Forehand from Fritz. Moving Sinner right. Forehand on the left side. Ooh, just in. Now a backhand into a forehand Fritz. Sinner's backhand misses as he tried to blast it. He's opened that court a few times. It's 30-15 here for Fritz.
30-15.
Not sure what that wry smile on the face of Sinner after missing his backhand wide, what that was all about.
I'm going to guess, because he looked down on the ground, that he still cannot believe that one Fritz ball actually was in. I think that is what the wry smile might have been about. 10 unforced errors now for Sinner here in this third set. Good wide serve from Fritz. He comes into net to close it off and does. Pummels a forehand down the right sideline for 40-15.
Yeah, interestingly, the serve from Fritz in the deuce court, he's been missing the wide serve lately. But he is getting a good wide serve in the ad court. And again, Sinner so far back to return, you almost have to serve wide.
That's what he was trying to do right there with Sinner against the back fence, but he missed it wide. So now a second serve here for Fritz at 40-15. He double faults. Second time in this game, and it's 40-30.
Three doubles in the match, 2 of them in this game. Having said that, they're the only 2 points he's lost, so he still has a game point.
At 40-30, here's Fritz down the center, a short forehand from Sinner, and Fritz shanked his forehand. And an oh no feeling around Ash.
Oh no is right. This next point, again, a very important point. Serve out wide, you don't have to hit it hard. Michael Russell telling his charge, just calm down, relax.
The double faults have come here in the deuce court, but not there. A perfect serve wide at 118.
That's what he needs. He doesn't have to hit the wide serve hard. He has to hit it wide. It's better almost if it's slower.
Advantage Fritz, and another chance for 5-3 here in the ad court. He's got 5-3 with an ace. Into double digits for the match. He's got 10, and he's a game away from bringing this match into a 4th set.
Fritz leads by 5 games to 3, 3rd set.
Taylor's father, Guy, who was his first tennis coach, Taylor said their relationships improved once his father stopped coaching him.
That I believe.
Often the case. He's had an incredible partnership with Michael Russell, Paul Annacone as well. But here is Jannik Sinner, who has been the player in men's tennis on the hard courts this year. Trying to at least extend this 3rd set and make Fritz sit down and think about things. Opening with an ace here, 3-5. Sinner down a break, up 2 sets to love though, and at 15 love. There's the toss and the serve. It's up the center. Fritz punched it back long. It's 30 love.
This is one of those moments where it feels as though, all right, let's go ahead and get rid of this game and see what happens with Fritz serving for the set. It's a quick 30 love for Sinner.
As Sinner nets that serve. At 30 love, here's Sinner's toss. And, oh, he missed it long. That toss looked like it might have gotten out a little bit away from him. As Sinner double faults, he's now double faulted 3 times here in the 3rd set, 4 times in the match. Fritz has 3 in the match, twice in this set, both times coming in that last game. 30-15 here for Sinner. Hitting it flat and out wide. Maybe this game not as much of a afterthought as we thought it might have been a few moments ago.
Not if he keeps missing serves.
He's got to hit a second serve here. He goes right to the center of the box, and Fritz upset. He was not able to do more with that 87-mile-an-hour second serve in the middle of the box.
Yeah, he left his feet when he didn't need to. The ball actually kicked a little bit away from him, but because he was leaping around, it got too far out of his reach.
40-15. Sinner's toss flat up the center. The backhand from Fritz. Now an inside-out forehand Sinner. He follows it in, but Fritz trying to pass. And he passed him, but he passed everything. He sent it long up the line. Sinner holds, but now they head to the chairs, and this will be an agonizing sit-down for Taylor Fritz, up 5-4, serving for the 3rd set in this U.S. Open men's final. Nick McCarville is courtside, and Nick, when we look at what's gone on here, Fritz has just, that energy boost really helped him. But now the question is going to be, can it carry him over the line in this set?
Yeah, let's thread a little bit of his storyline. I mean, you guys know it so well. Jimmy's known him for so long, but this is a guy who has led the crop of American men. You look at Tommy Paul, you look at Tiafoe, you look at Riley Opelka, now Ben Shelton. This is a guy who Brian has said for a long time, I want to be the #1 American. I want to be the first guy into a slam final. He's done that. He wants to be the first one to win a major. He said after a semifinal, I don't want to sound like I'm, sort of indignant here, but I want these things for myself. We're all pushing each other. Well, now he's got to walk that talk. He's got to show up here. He did not bring his best tennis in that second set after you know, the first set went Sinner's way, and now he's got an opportunity to send this into a fourth. And as we've seen, Sinner's blinked a little bit, and now Taylor has an opportunity to send this into a fourth.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a crop of good players that you're competing with, and that's exactly what Fritz had with Tommy Paul, Tiafoe, and don't forget Riley Opelka was also in that age group and a very good player who's been injured for 2 years and just starting to play again. But it's Taylor Fritz serving now to at least extend this match to 4 sets.
And those other guys have gotten to major semifinals along with Ben Shelton before Fritz, but Fritz the first into a major final. And he wants to play at least a 4th set in the U.S. Open final. His toss and his serve, it's out wide, pulling Sinner way off the court. And now the backhand from Fritz, cross court, backhand middle into a pummeled forehand that just drifted wide from Fritz. He laced it up the left sideline, and it seemed like the wind just breezed it into the alley at the last moment. Love 15.
Again, this Sinner, since he has moved back to the fence to return serve, it forces Fritz to
up the center on the serve, then Fritz follows it in because forehand right. It's Sinner tries to pass. Fritz gets low for that backhand volley. Oh, a sliding volley is too short from Sinner. There's the transition game from Taylor Fritz, 15 all.
Even when Fritz makes volleys, it looks a little bit off, a little bit strange. And here's an example of one where his backhand volley, everything flinched, his whole body pulled up, but he managed to hit it nicely.
15 all. That first serves into net from Fritz. Fritz at 5-4. He's serving for the 3rd set. Second serve down the center. Forehand middle from Sinner. Now forehand middle from Fritz. Fritz to his right with a forehand cross. Now backhand cross court from Sinner. Backhand cross from Fritz. Backhand cross from both. Sinner backs up for the backhand. They stay cross court. Now Fritz hits into the forehand of Sinner. Inside in, forehand, Fritz, cross-court forehand. Now a line forehand is long from Fritz, and it looked like the shot tolerance from Fritz just broke down in that rally.
And again, where Sinner's standing, he's going to force him to play. He made a mistake, Sinner, on his second break point in the 2-3 game. He tried to attack the second serve. It gave a target to Fritz. I think Sinner, the rest of this game, is going to try to work on the shot tolerance of Fritz.
4 minutes past the 2-hour mark. Good wide serve from Fritz. The return long, 30 all.
It takes a big serve and an accurate serve right now to get a free point from Sinner. And Fritz just got one. He needs 2 more.
5-4. Sinner up 2 sets to love, but here's Taylor Fritz, 2 points from winning the 3rd. He goes up the center. Fritz off balance on the backhand return. Now backhand middle Fritz. They've reset the point. A forehand middle from Fritz, a short ball. Sinner hits a forehand into a slice backhand Fritz. Sinner backed up to hit the forehand. Now Fritz's volley. Sinner drops the racket because it missed long. And Sinner, great court coverage, great defending, and he's got a break point.
133-mile-an-hour serve right in the corner. And Sinner not able just to get it back, but it went with some depth, and he's right back to even on the point. Amazing stuff.
Crowd applauding the effort from both, but also trying to urge Fritz forward, down a break point. And he's got to come up with a second serve here. Second serve, the toss, he floats it into the box. Sinner goes cross court with a forehand. Now a backhand cross into the cross court backhand. Fritz backhand, they trade. Cross court on the ad side. Now Fritz goes forehand. Oh, it just caught the sideline. He mishit that ball. Now he recovers. It's another deep forehand. Stretched out for a cross court forehand. Forehand drop shot, Sinner. Here comes Fritz, lunging for the forehand. He's down break point. And Sinner trying to pass. Fritz misses the volley. Sinner's got the break for 5 all in the 3rd.
Taylor Fritz had that volley. It was Sinner in control of the rally once he hit the drop shot. Fritz, all he was able to do is float a forehand chip up to the backhand, but Sinner didn't do much with the pass. And I think it was almost such a poor pass that Fritz was surprised. He was expecting to have to dive, and instead it was right on his racket.
Fritz will have to forget about that quickly. I do wonder if we see another replay, if maybe his balance, like if his weight was shifting towards the center of the court, if that could have...
Definitely he was expecting a cross-court pass. but he hadn't moved very far, so it ended up looking like it was right on his racket.
Fritz gets a look at a second serve here as he tries to break for the second time in this third set. Body serve into a short forehand from Fritz. Big forehand from Sinner, who's got new life in this set. He wants to win this title in 3. A forehand from Fritz, missed it. Tried to go inside out from the center of the baseline. It went out indeed, but into the alley. Fritz's box trying to pump him up because he is visibly frustrated after that last sequence. Sinner looks across the court. Now the toss, serve down the center, leaning and blocking. It's Fritz. He can't get it back. Huge serve and a perfect place for Sinner. 119 down the tee, 30 love.
Again, difficult mentally here for Taylor Fritz. He played so well to get himself on the verge of winning that set. But Sinner just a little too good defensively.
At 30 love, Sinner was going tee again, but he missed it. One missed wide. Might have been a little long as well. Now a second serve from Sinner. Center of the box, a forehand, a deep return from Fritz, who moves right to drill another forehand. Sinner's got no response for that one. Fritz swinging freely, 30-15.
If I'm Jannik Sinner right now and I'm winning the points when we're on even terms, I try to start just putting first serves in and not going for as much. He's only serving 38% first serve in this set. And he's only won 8 of 20 second serve points.
Now here's Sinner at 30-15. Toss and that serve a little bit long.
Keeps giving Fritz some opportunities to see these second serves, and that's the one shot where Fritz has been able to get an edge.
Doesn't need to do anything there to get that point because Sinner double faults for the 4th time in this third set.
A lot of those doubles are happening because Fritz is crushing his second serve. He's not letting him just spin it in comfortably. And again, if I'm Sinner, spin the first serve in. You don't have to hit a bomb. You're winning the points if you're on even terms.
In this set, Sinner's just 8 of 21 on his second serve points. That's below 40%. Goes flat and out wide there. A short forehand from Sinner. Now a leaping backhand from Sinner. He left his feet. Backhand from Fritz. They reset from the baseline. Big forehand from Fritz. Big time ball striking from both. It's a backhand from Sinner. Fritz goes backhand cross deep into Sinner's backhand corner. Backhand cross from Fritz. We've seen Sinner open up from this position before, but instead all he needs to do is watch Fritz miss long, and it's 40-30 for Sinner.
That point we've seen too many times for Taylor Fritz, where they're just both hitting the ball with pace and depth, back and forth, and then suddenly Fritz will just miss what looks like a routine shot, not trying to do anything special. That's what's frustrating for Fritz.
40-30 here for Sinner, and a chance for 6-5 in this third set. Toss and serve flat down the center. Fritz stretched out, blocks it back short. Forehand, Sinner rips it right at Fritz, who throws up a defensive lob from the back fence. And Sinner watches it land wide. Sinner has come all the way back in this third set. He is a game away from the U.S. Open title. Taylor Fritz, maybe a bit dejected, is trying to get this third set to a tiebreak. And I think dejection seems to be the theme right now in Ash Stadium, Nick.
Yeah, Brian, you read that completely right. It just feels like all the air has been taken out of this arena, and now it's up to Taylor Fritz to try to serve to stay in this match. So vastly different from just a couple games ago, and still a lot of positive energy coming from the Fritz box, but it does feel like, guys, he has not been able to handle these especially pressurized moments well today, and he's going to face the biggest one here next.
Yeah, the pressure has affected Taylor Fritz at some times. Jannik Sinner, though, has not certainly been immune to the pressure, but it is Jannik Sinner who is now 1 game away from his 2nd major title and his 6th title of 2024.
It's pretty amazing when we think of starting January and Jannik Sinner hadn't won a Grand Slam, and here he is, the one that is the world #1, the looking to do something that only 3 men, Federer, Djokovic, and Mats Wilander, have done, winning both the AO and US Opens on hard court, Brian. And he's the veteran. He's the one, not by age, but by experience. He's the one that feels as though he should obviously win this match. And Fritz was talking the talk coming into this match, and it just feels like he has not been able to, well, it is clear he has not been able to show up today with his best tennis.
Even when he's had his moments, Sinner's been able to claw those moments back, but this is the biggest moment of the match as Taylor Fritz serves to stay in the match at 5-6 in the 3rd set. At times it felt like this was a car that was speeding away from Fritz. He's kept it back, but been unable to play from in front for extended periods of time. He missed that first serve. That's been a problem. And Sinner's been so deep, and right there, Fritz doubles faults. An ominous start. Jimmy, that's a moment where Sinner really took the upper hand. Once he started playing back, further back, Fritz hasn't been able to adjust to that.
No, what happened was, for the first 4 service games of the 2nd set for Fritz,
they trade from the baseline here. A backhand cross from Sinner. Now backhand middle into a Sinner forehand. Hit the tape, but Fritz is able to adjust. Now a deep forehand. Sinner dictating for the baseline. Fritz misses long. Sinner's 2 points from the title.
what happened was those first 4 games, service games that Fritz had in set 2, he was getting free point after free point aces, and that's when Sinner realized at 4-5, I'm going to back up. And as soon as he did that, it has been really tough for Fritz. Every service game is difficult because he doesn't serve and volley. He's got to serve and volley.
At love 30, the serve goes out wide. Deep return from Sinner, who's had all the answers in these service games. A forehand cross, now a forehand from the world #1. He's 2 points from the title as Fritz goes forehand middle. Deeper forehand from Sinner. Fritz adjusts with a forehand. Sinner's happy to keep feeding this rally. Now a backhand from Sinner. Fritz goes backhand cross-court, pulling Sinner, who has cross-court deep backhand. Now a backhand blocked by Fritz. Now forehand from Fritz with topspin into the corner. Sinner's there. Now a backhand middle from Fritz. Lifted forehand from Sinner. Now a forehand, little forehand drop shot. Sinner, here comes Fritz. It went towards the sideline. Fritz dumps it into the court. Sinner's there and just short on his sliding backhand volley. Fritz survives a marathon point, 17 shots.
And you get the sense every point he wins right now is survival for Fritz, because he has to try to beat Jannik Sinner, who is the best baseliner in the world right now and the best mover from the baseline. He's got to win the points from even terms because he's not getting much of an edge behind his serve. Hard to see how he can manage to win point like that after point like that, but that feels as though what he's going to have to do, or he's going to have to hope Sinner gets tight.
15-30 for Fritz. Serve out wide, blocked with the backhand. Sinner. Fritz comes in with a deep forehand. Fritz is at the service line and shanks a forehand. He tried to take that out of the air. He missed it. And it is double championship point for the world #1, Jannik Sinner. It's been 7 years since the world #1 won the US Open. That was Rafael Nadal. Jannik Sinner can get there right now and make it a sweep of the hard court majors in 2024. Taylor Fritz down 2 championship points, misses that first serve. What an effort from Fritz to get to his first major final. But Sinner's been too good. Second serve for Fritz. It's down the center. Sinner just plays a middle forehand on match point. Now a forehand again, cross-court Sinner. Fritz with a cross-court forehand. Forehand up the right side. Now a backhand from both players. Cross-court backhand. The Fritz backhand backing up Sinner for a forehand. Fritz goes big with that forehand. Sinner stretched out with a backhand. Fritz backhand middle. Sinner goes big again with a forehand. Deep cross-court on the ad side. Sinner big backhand. Fritz is there with a forehand over the middle of the net. Now a cross-court forehand. Fritz into the net. Jannik Sinner stands alone with his arms outstretched as the United States Open champion. He doesn't fall down because nobody could take him down in New York. The best in the world is the best in New York as Sinner wins his first US Open title. He and Fritz embrace it net. Warm words from both. Hugs in the Sinner box. Nothing to be ashamed of from the Fritz camp. But the US Open champion for 2024 is Jannik Sinner. And he is standing alone right now in Arthur Ashe Stadium with his arms outstretched. He's taken his hat off. And he is the first Italian man to ever win the US Open. Great scenes for Jannik Sinner, but Jimmy Arias, just a frustrating day for Taylor Fritz.
Frustrating because, look, he had to play, he had to redline it. He had to play his best level that he could possibly play. And I think that just extra pressure of it being a final in a major, his first ever final in the US, all of those things swirling in his mind. He just wasn't quite ready to play that red-lined perfect tennis. He did make a match of it in set 3. He got up a break. He actually served for the third set. But you just got the sense that Sinner, because he defends so well and can play offensively from defensive positions, that it was going to be difficult for Fritz. Fritz has to, he's been reluctant to work on his volleys.
Yeah.
He has to bring that to his, he has to watch his match and recognize he had no answers once Sinner backed way up to the fence. He couldn't finish the points. He couldn't get the free points with his serve. He had to at least make that return difficult by being able to serve and volley once in a while. Sinner goes to his player box to hug his team.
Yeah, he gets the security escort around, and he's hugging Darren Cahill and the rest of the group. And it's got to be a pretty draining couple of weeks for the Sinner crew, given everything that had gone on before the tournament about the violation for the banned substance. He gives Anna Kalinskaya, the women's player, his friend. They spend a lot of time together. Gives her a kiss. Hugs for everybody. Gives Seal a hug.
Seal had been there the last couple of matches for him, and a huge fan of tennis. And if you're a fan of tennis, you got to respect the way that Jannik Sinner plays. It feels to me almost unbeatable if there's no hole in his game. And he's almost unbeatable if he plays well.
And a lot's been made about the first American man to get to the final in 18 years. And Andy Roddick would be the first to tell you that, he had the misfortune of playing all of his major finals against, for the most part, Roger Federer. And now Taylor Fritz is in a similar boat. Nick McCarville is courtside. And Nick, the whole test controversy was really the first negative thing that's ever happened to Jannik Sinner. He is a very respectful guy. He's a very popular guy. He's just a very well-regarded person. And I think he'll be a very popular U.S. Open champion, even though it came at the expense of an American.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Brian, there has been that cloud over Sinner this U.S. Open, and we saw it in that first set of the first match of the tournament against Mackenzie McDonald. It definitely was on his mind, and it's something that tennis needs to sort out because it was a very strange situation, and he was smack dab in the middle of it. There's been a couple other little blips for him. He left Riccardo Piatti, the coach, who is credited with really helping him get to this level, and he changed his entire coaching team. Darren Cahill was brought in on a part-time basis, but Simona Vagnozzi, who really wasn't that well known, that well established of an Italian coach, he's the one that Sinner chose, and he has just crafted an incredible team. I actually, just seeing the emotion there as you guys just describe him up in the box, well commentated, guys, and it's raw emotion up there. This has been a really tough few months for them because they knew when the rest of us didn't about what was going on behind the scenes with the positive tests, and Jannik Sinner obviously played through that murkiness. And Jimmy, you described it so well. He is the best tennis player in the world right now, and he's won 2 slams this year. We look at now the men's calendar from 2024 in terms of the majors. He's waving now, Jannik Sinner, to a couple, I believe, Italian dignitaries in the USTA presidential box. They've got Italian Olympic jackets on. He and Carlos Alcaraz, they've really separated themselves from the field. So Jannik Sinner doing the hard court double, and I'm just looking in front of me a few feet to my left. Taylor Fritz changed his kit, changed into a new top. He's now in that Boss jacket. There's a lot of dejection on his side. And on that match point, Brian, as you described the celebration for Jannik Sinner now coming over to some young kids who have Italian signs. They're throwing, one gets his hat and the other one gets his towel. Taylor Fritz, you could just see the shoulders entirely slump on that championship point. I think he just feels like he had so many chances today, especially in that third set, to serve it out. But what a performance. Jannik Sinner is the US Open champ. He's dousing himself now in a water bottle to, I'm guessing, mat the hair just how he wants. And he's changed his top two. And there's been a flurry of activity, guys. They're ready here for the trophy presentation, which we will see on the other side here of US Open Radio, presented by American Express.
What a terrific afternoon of tennis, everyone. One more round of applause for our two players. Now, please welcome the future American tennis champions, 12-year-old Lucas Lee and 11-year-old Mary Podnihanchenko from the John McEnroe Tennis Academy. Thank you both. To begin our trophy ceremony, we'd like to recognize our chair umpire this afternoon, Eva Azdaraki-Moore. It's now my pleasure to introduce again the chairman of the board and the president of the USTA, Dr. Brian Hainline.
Thank you. Taylor, you are leading the wave of the next generation of American champions, 5 of whom are currently ranked in the top 20 in the world. You speak of your American colleagues with a certain fondness. You call them family. How all of you push each other to tennis greatness and to greatness in life. Taylor, you have responded. You have been pushed, and you have, through your grit, determination, and perseverance, reached your first Grand Slam singles final. And we know there is a Grand Slam champion in you. Jannik, when you won the Australian Open this year, you thanked your parents for allowing you to choose tennis. What a remarkable life lesson, as tennis has become your journey and your humanity. Congratulations on your second Grand Slam singles title and your first US Open singles title, and congratulations on being the #1 tennis player in the world. To the US Open staff, thank you for orchestrating the most brilliant 3 weeks of tennis in history. And to our fans, thank you for making Arthur Ashe Stadium rock and roll. You are the greatest. And to our global tennis community and the world at large, let's play tennis, the world's healthiest sport and a journey for the good of life. Thank you.
Now it's time to hear from our finalist, American Taylor Fritz. It's been a long time since we had an American in this match, Taylor. I know it wasn't a victory today, but it was a win overall. How would you describe the run?
Yeah, it's been an amazing 2 weeks, and you know, first off, congrats to Jannik. He played a great match. Congrats to his team. It's really impressive. He was too good. So I mean, it's amazing. But I want to say thanks to thanks to my team, my coach Mike, Wolf, Morgan, my parents are here, just my whole team. It's amazing to have such a great support system around me. They really make this this possible. Also to my coach, other coach Paul, who's not in the box today, but yeah, it's been an amazing run, and thank you to the fans for everything this week. Being an American at the US Open is just incredible, feeling the love all week. So thank you so much. I know we've been waiting for a champion for a long time, so I'm sorry I couldn't get it done this time, but I'm gonna keep working, and hopefully I'll get it done next time. So thank you.
Congratulations, Taylor. You're getting closer. You're going to get one. Now to present Taylor with the finalist trophy, Dr. Hainline. Okay. Now it's time to hear from the champion, Jannik Sinner. Your first U.S. Open, the first Italian man to claim this title in history. What does it mean to you, Jannik?
Yeah, hello everyone, first of all, and I would like to start with Taylor. I know how much work he puts in. You are doing an amazing job. Congrats to you, Taylor, and the whole team. It's so nice to see you in big stages like this, and I'm quite sure that you are gonna play many of those. So I wish you best of luck for the future. Yeah, this title for me means so much, because the last period of my career was really not easy. There is my team who supports me every day, the people who are close to me. I love tennis. I practice a lot for this kind of stages, but I also realize that off the court there is a life. I would like to dedicate this title to my aunt, because she is really not feeling well health-wise. I don't know how much I still have her in my life, so it's so nice that I can share positive moments still with her. She was a very important person for my life, and she still is. So if there would be the biggest wish, I would wish everyone the best health to everyone, but unfortunately it's not possible. But
you came into this tournament saying, I'm not sure I have very high expectations. For someone with low expectations for how he might perform, how did you get this done over 2 weeks?
I did pretty well, I guess. No, it's we just went day by day, trying to practice well, even in the days off, believing in ourselves, which is the most important. I understood, especially in this tournament, how important the mental part is in this sport, and I guess in every sport. So yeah, I'm very happy, very proud to share this moment with my team. I know there are a lot of people watching from home, but I would like to thank everyone for being so fair in this amazing arena. So it was a huge pleasure.
Finally, Dr. Hainline, said it. You are #1 in the world, far and away. You've now won 2 major titles this year. To put in perspective how difficult that is, you are only the 4th man in more than 50 years to win your first 2 major titles in the same calendar year. You have had a hell of a year. How would you phrase it? How would you describe the year?
Yeah, incredible, no? It's so many big wins for me this season, starting off with Australia and then playing so well there, which then gave me confidence for until now. But you know, the work never stops. I know that I still can improve, as we saw also today, a couple of things. But you know, you have to be proud with what you have, and the rest you have to go for it, you have to work for it, so I can't wait for my continued process. Thank you.
Congratulations. And now comes the real fun stuff. First, to present you with a check for $3,600,000. Claudia Jury from JP Morgan.
Many congratulations.
Thank you.
You have made Italy proud, and I wore the orange just for
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank
Congratulations.
You. Thank you so much.
And now, to present the Champions Trophy, Andre Agassi. Take a step forward. Your 2024 U.S. Open Men's Champion, Jannik Sinner.
The streamers fly as Jannik Sinner holds that U.S. Open trophy. He also holds that envelope with a check for $3.6 million.
It's a good day.
Not bad for a day's work.
Well, it's actually a couple weeks.
Yes.
Work, so.
Well, it's been an incredible month for Sinner, and we'll say goodbye to Nick McCarville as the streamers do fly. Nick is courtside. He's been courtside the entire match. Great having him along because, you know, Nick, you've traveled the world covering the Olympics and covering tennis, certainly over the last month. Sinner missed the Olympics, and you're thinking, okay, how would he respond? He responds by winning Cincinnati and the U.S. Open. This is just the 3rd time in the Open era that all 4 majors in a season were won by players 23 and under. And as we see Sinner and Fritz pose for photos, Nick, the game is in pretty good hands.
I mean, the game is in incredible hands, and it was a pretty confounding couple months for Sinner. Didn't feel well losing to Medvedev at Wimbledon. That was not a player a lot of people thought he was going to lose to. Jannik Sinner on center court, then misses the Olympics, which he had said at the outset of the season was the most important event of the season for him. And then, Brian, on the eve of the U.S. Open, after he wins Cincinnati, we understand that there had been this positive doping test. I mean, that's a lot to handle. And then he tells us that his aunt is in ill health. He was very vague there. But, you know, for those of us who have been around Jannik Sinner for inside tennis, he's just a class act in terms of the way that he treats his team, thanking Darren Cahill, Simone Vignosi. Of course, there was that cloud hanging over them. But he won this tennis tournament, and he has shown he has stepped up, he has leveled up, he has taken the aggressive step that Carlos Alcaraz and many others have taken this sport, and he has added variety. He can cover the court so well, and he just did everything better than Taylor Fritz today. He is the outright champion, and it was a pleasure to witness it in person. It was a pleasure to call it with you, the one and only Jimmy Arias, and you too, Brian Clark. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
That's Nick McCarville. He was courtside for this match. It was a straight sets win for Jannik Sinner. He is the 2024 U.S. Open champion over the American Taylor Fritz. So the Grand Slam final drought is over after 15 years for the Americans on the men's side. But the title drought will continue into 2025, going back to that 2003 U.S. Open title for Andy Roddick. Wrapping up the 2024 U.S. Open as Jannik Sinner is crowned the champion in the men's singles. He beats Taylor Fritz 6-3, 6-4, 7-5 in 2 hours, 16 minutes for his second major title. He joins Aryna Sabalenka in sweeping the hardcourt majors this year after Sabalenka's winners yesterday. And another congratulations to all of our senior winners. Ludmila Kichenok, Yelena Ostapenko won the women's doubles. Max Purcell, Jordan Thompson, the men's doubles. Sara Errani, Andrea Vavasori, the mixed doubles. Can't wait till next year. We get the wheelchair competition back there at the Paralympics. That's been an awesome time to follow along from Paris, but we've had an awesome 2 weeks here at the U.S. Open. Actually, 3 weeks, I should say, because that's been the big change as these tournaments grow and expand and more fans come onto the grounds, more money for the players. There's more of everything. But there's another year without an American man as a major singles champion. Taylor Fritz will try again in 2025. Jimmy Arias here with me for some final thoughts. And Jimmy, what's going to stay with you when you think about this tournament going forward?
Well, I suppose a couple of things. One, we finally got an American in a final of a major again in the men's side, so that was a nice stepping stone, I suppose. The other thing that impressed me a lot with Jannik Sinner is you got to remember he's only won one major before this one. In the third round, his two biggest rivals, Djokovic and Alcaraz, both go out. That could make you nervous, knowing, wow, what an opportunity. I'm the heavy, heavy favorite to win another major, but I've only won one. And he goes ahead and blows through the draw pretty comfortably, dropped a set here or there, didn't maybe play his best tennis, but in the end, he did exactly what he needed to do and won the title. So it just shows you how good he is. He's very young. You got to believe there's going to be quite a few more majors for Sinner and Alcaraz, those two. Right now, it's those two. Djokovic, how long can he hang in? We don't know, but it's going to be a while.
2 years ago, it was Carlos Alcaraz winning his first major here at the U.S. Open in the final. Now it is Jannik Sinner winning his first U.S. Open title, and it really feels like the changing of the guard is complete in men's tennis. So we are going to say so long from the 2024 U.S. Open. The good thing about our guard, we don't change, we just evolve. It's been another fantastic year. It's been an absolute privilege to bring you all the action here on U.S. Open Radio, presented by American Express. We've got a dynamic team made up of people from around the world. Jimmy, I'm so glad you were able to join us today for Championship Sunday.
Thank you for having me. It was exciting to be on the radio.
I was excited to see Jimmy Arias' name on the schedule, but from first ball to last, everybody who gets behind a microphone or presses a button here on the U.S. Open Radio over the 3 weeks, we thank you. We are all a fantastic team here, led by Jim Knapp and his crew in from Michigan, Jaime Colon keeping us honest, along with Claude Jennings. We've got Braxton Crisp and Kenny Marion and the USTA folks that are incredibly helpful in the broadcast office with Dana Nevada and Patty Fallick, who oversees the entire operation. But this operation, this U.S. Open, has come to an end with Jannik Sinner crowned the champion. The world number one wins his 6th title of the year, and he reigns supreme in New York. We are going to say so long from the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, but we'll be back in 2025. So for the last time in 2024, I'm Brian Clark, and this has been U.S. Open Radio presented by American Express.